Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. This is
Director of the University of Kansas. You will not question my judgment. You will do no such thing. You know where you're gonna have to go? Miles away from here. You're gonna have miles to go. On ESPN Plus, I'm Jeff Long.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
On Wednesday, we vowed to be a little bit better at keeping an eye on the Twitch and Facebook and YouTube comments over the course of the show. It's one of the things that makes this show very unique in the grand scheme of sports talk radio. It's also, most importantly, one of the best ways that we have to be able to hear from our beloved, very, very, very strange audience who we love so much. And so I will start off today's show with a comment from Iced Pyro in the Twitch with simply, Friday show. What? That's right, baby! Almost Entirely Sports, almost to the weekend. We've got Friday Almost Entirely Sports is back. And now you may say, all right, Mick Schaefer at 9, right? That's what you guys do on Fridays. And you would be wrong. It's not Mick's fault. I just didn't ask him. Not because I'm not inviting Mick back, but because this is our only Friday show still. This is our last Friday show in 2021. And eventually we're going to get to a point where we all get in that groove again. And I thought, you know what? Let's give Mick the rest of the year. And then on at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st, I'll make sure we get our Mick Fridays back. Just MC Fridays, actually. Like it was sold by the company with the golden arches.
I was going to mention that when you're like, Friday shows, I'm like, well, kind of.
We're doing it almost entirely sports on a Friday. It's just that one of our Friday staples isn't back yet.
It's the fact that we both are on, well, I'm on vacation every Friday the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think.
And I don't know if you are as well. You might be here for maybe one of those Fridays. I don't think so.
We are not going, neither you or I are going to be here on any of the remaining Fridays through 2021.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying is
a burn.
This is our only
getting them out.
This is our last AES, our last Friday AES of 2021, and then at 12:01 a.m. I'll text Mick and make sure we get our schedule synced back up again. But
yeah, in theory, because normally KU doesn't play on a Friday, there'll probably be a Friday game, but normally they don't. Friday should be free.
We're going to have high school football's gone, so AES on Fridays is back.
And, like, there's bowl season, but bowl season is coinciding with our vacation, so it doesn't really matter.
And just holidays.
Like, yeah.
Just lots of holidays. But the real extra little feather in our cap tonight is that we will have our usual Friday football guest, Matt Verderame of FanSided. We'll talk to him at 9 tonight. And I would say maybe the millennial Mick Schaefer, Sterling Holmes, will join us at 8. I think those two have some pretty similar sort of just suburb pool party energy, both Sterling and Mick.
The difference is that Mick has like a little bit of that. He still has some of that normal, like he's just a guy's guy in him, right? Like because he's from a country town like me.
Sterling's loves a Busch Light, though. You know, he's got his anchors.
Sterling's fake country.
No, that's true.
Sterling thinks he's one of us. He's not.
No, I don't think he does. Sterling wears a suit to radio sometimes. I think Sterling knows that he's a 1%er.
Mick literally wears his swim trunks at least like 3 of the last 5 times I've seen him.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in December, you'd think that's not very economical. Doesn't matter. It's Mick.
I think Mick would be insulted by this.
He does being that similar to Sterling?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing the Pokemon evolution thing again, where I'm saying that Mick is Charizard and Sterling is Charmeleon. You know, I don't know who Charmander is in this one. I haven't gotten that far. But I'm saying that Sterling is really trying very hard to be Mick when he grows up, basically. And he's on a good path for that. So we'll talk to Sterling at 8, Matt Verderame at 9, and we'll get ready for Chiefs Broncos over the whole show today.
This is even better. So Mick is Pikachu. And Sterling's Mimikyu, and he just really wants to be Pikachu. But let's be honest, he just can't. He just doesn't got it.
Wow.
And I like Sterling, but he's no Mick.
No, but
if you look underneath that costume, oh boy, is it terrifying.
But Charmeleon's no Charizard though. We've been through this.
But again, it's not. It's just its own. It's the same evolution line. What I'm saying is these are two different,
totally different creatures.
One wants to be like the other, but just can't.
I mean, it's pretty good. I don't know. We can next time we talk to Mick, let's see how he feels about the Sterling comparison. I'm saying Sterling has a Mick Schaefer poster on his wall, which might play into your thing there, Rudy, of him being Mimikyu.
Like, I don't think Charmeleon necessarily fawns over Charizard because it knows it's gonna get there. It knows that's the path. Mm-hmm. Mimikyu just wants something it can never have.
But we also like Mimikyu. It's just not Pikachu. You know, that's fair. I think that's reasonable. I think Sterling would admit to as much. So we'll talk to him at 8, and Verderame will join us at 9 to talk about everything that happened in football last week, what we expect from football this week, where the Chiefs stand currently, and we'll sort through all of that. Plus, we have a couple of things from the Chiefs front, both in press conferences from the last few days, and also, of course, just looking ahead to Chiefs Raiders. I said Broncos earlier also, I think. I said get ready for Chiefs Broncos. I know they're playing the Raiders shortly. I did not think they were playing the Broncos this week.
They will play the Broncos again.
Just not Sunday.
We're just looking ahead to the future. You know why? Because we don't care about the Raiders.
Wow, we're overlooking the Raiders and the Chargers, and I think the Steelers and Bengals.
Have you seen the Steelers play?
I have, actually. I watched the first half of that game last night.
I'm sorry.
I gave myself until halftime, and at halftime it was over. I almost even tweeted out. I actually had the whole tweet typed up, and I was like, listen, just not worth it, and I just let it go. Sometimes I got to do that. Sometimes you got to hit don't save draft, you know? And I had typed up something around halftime along the lines of, if the Vikings Viking this, it'll be the Vikingest Vikings the Vikings have ever Vikinged. And I didn't send it. You might think, why, Josh? That was a masterpiece. Everyone deserved to see that. And I would say, thank you. You're right. I agree. But I didn't even send that. It's well, this game is over. So I went and did, I don't remember, something else during the third quarter. And I checked my phone I don't know, halfway into the fourth quarter or whatever it was. And it was the Pittsburgh Steelers have scored 20-something unanswered points. And now it's a 2-score game. And so I turned it on to see them score again. And then most importantly, to watch Chase Claypool get a first down with the clock running at the end of the game, do a little point, have the ball knocked out of his hand by either a Viking or his teammate. It's hard to tell. He got mad at his teammate, and ultimately the Steelers had, I think, one more play after that, and it didn't do anything. So, peak comedy. I'll tell you what, the two primetime weekday games this week have had an incredibly good comedic value because I'm not sure either of them were terribly pleasurable football watches, but Bills-Patriots, you were like, well, I'm watching something that I may literally never see again in this sport for the rest of my life. And then on Thursday, it was, oh my goodness, Big Ben is toast. The Steelers' defense is terrible. Wow, this storied franchise is genuinely unwatchable right now. And the Vikings, who just lost to the Lions, are curb stomping the Steelers, who tied with the Lions. And wow, what a time to be alive. What a fun first half of just sort of lopsided bull bleep. At least, funny. Not good football, but funny. And then you come back, and the Vikings Viking, and the Steelers still can't make the comeback.
I was kind of hoping the Lions would not win a game.
Oh, I was rooting for the Lions so hard against the Vikings, man. It's perfect.
Yeah, but at the same time, that is not the worst team in the NFL. The Lions are at least somewhat feisty, right?
Oh, they're the best 0-10-1 team or 1-10-1 team of all time.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
they've got they're obviously not good. They lack
they're quite bad.
Lack talent. But there is this continued effort there, whereas most teams of that talent, who struggle like that, like the Texans and those teams, they just give up. They're just done, right?
Dan Campbell is
ready for the season to be over with.
Dan Campbell's getting another year.
Yeah.
David Coley might not.
Well,
the Texans.
Have you seen their special teams though?
The Texans are choosing to play Davis Mills at quarterback.
The future.
They're really sticking their neck out there.
I was about to say, have you seen that neck?
No, I haven't. I don't know what's so funny. I just had a regular phrase that lots of people say about risky behaviors. And then we're also at this point on the Chiefs front. And again, I'm going to bring you some audio from the last couple days. And we have 3 hours. So you would think that at some point I'll successfully do it. And I think really I'm going to get you at least a couple of those in the first. I think we're going to get at least, I've got one clip that I think is interesting, one that I think is funny, and one that I think is one of those things that is just, I have a interesting, a funny, and a weird. Those are my 3 Chiefs audio clips that I will offer for you that will hopefully get to today. 1 per hour feels like a clip that even I could keep up with. Even though we around here are famously horrific at actually following up on the audio clips we promise.
The one thing is I know in at least one of these clips, a Mr. Brisco asked a question, so yeah. I'm pretty confident we will get to him because we love a Mr. Brisco on this show.
We love it whenever Mr. Brisco asks questions. That's true. And please, Mr. Brisco is my father. You can call me His Highness. Or Your Highness if you're addressing me directly. I would prefer you to.
I'm playing your father in fantasy football this weekend.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Last time we faced against each other was a wild 76-66 victory by me.
Oh, I've got some. We're not going to talk about our fantasy teams in this first segment of the show today. We'll do it in the second segment. But I
only mentioned because I'm playing your dad.
I've had some stinkers. Well, the interesting thing about that, Rudy, is that if you win, actually you become my dad. So there's a lot riding on that one. I don't know why you guys agreed on that.
But I have a tomato in my mouth. A little cherry tomato.
Okay, so let's pause.
I'm coming in hot today. Okay, I was at an event. I haven't had time to eat.
No, Rudy's been working.
I've got a lovely salad here from Hen House.
Fantastic. Important clarification.
I'll switch it over.
What kind of salad is it? What's that? Some cheese on there? You got some cheddar cheese on there?
It is called the chicken tortilla salad.
Oh, those are tortilla strips.
Yeah, very good. Chicken.
I like a chicken tortilla salad.
Some little baby tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, whatever they're called, and some lettuce. It's very crisp lettuce too. Hen House does not mess around with their vegetables.
So
it is fresh.
It looks great. It looks like a great salad. Why don't you give us a bite? Wow! What a crisp salad! Why can't this show get food sponsors? We do such a good job of talking about food. Arguably a better job than we do talking about sports.
I don't think it's arguable.
It's not. You're right.
It's a fact.
We talk about sports because it's what we're supposed to do. We talk about food because it's what we love to do. Give us money to talk about how crunchy your salad is.
Boy, I love a good salad. Salads are an underrated meal because I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, well, you can't really get full of salad." You're not having the right salad.
No, I think that might be true about a lot of soups. It's not true about salad.
If you get the right salad, and again, I like salad with some chicken in it, right?
Right.
I like there to be some meat.
Yeah.
Throw in some avocado, maybe an egg. You get the right salad, you are full.
Absolutely. I like to make salads at home. One thing I think I've actually said on the show before that a friend of mine mentioned once that really opened my eyes. He's like, hey, I think he learned it from somebody else, which I guess how learning usually goes. He's like, we season all of our other food. Why don't we season our salads? So you just throw a little, get yourself a nice little bed of lettuce, and don't make the dressing do all the work. Put a tiny bit of salt on there, crack some black pepper, maybe a little bit of Italian seasoning mix if you wanted to get it all done in two or three ingredients there. That livens the whole thing up. Then you can put some toppings on there, your dressing. What I like to do is to do the nice little bed of lettuce, some salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then just put an entire Five Guys cheeseburger on top of it. It's the best salad I've ever had.
Hamburger salad.
I don't always eat all the lettuce, but sometimes instead of lettuce, I'll do fried potatoes underneath it.
No bread, though, because of the diabetes.
Well, I was just about to say, I was actually just thinking, I might need to start clarifying some of our bits just so people don't start getting worried. So my mom doesn't message me, and she's like, hey, potatoes, just look, you're doing a good job with your blood sugar and everything, but maybe you should not replace all of the lettuce in your life with potatoes because potatoes are very high in carbohydrates.
This is a good-looking tomato.
So this is actually what. Go ahead, turn your mic on. Go ahead and pop.
Want me to eat it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't.
Good.
I'm having a hard time thinking with that crunching sound in my ears.
It's so crunchy.
I let that go on about 5 seconds longer than I meant for it to because my brain stopped working.
And the tomatoes are so juicy, man.
Whenever you said earlier that you just were having a cherry tomato, what I wanted to clarify is that you were actually eating a salad because the idea of you just bringing in one of those little containers of cherry tomatoes and just eating that at the board both of my parents will eat cherry tomatoes. Renee will just eat cherry tomatoes. I don't like cherry tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes that much.
Here's the thing. I don't either. And to me, the idea is insane. If it was these tomatoes, though,
oh my goodness,
they're that good, man. These ones are that good. I'm not a big tomato person. I tolerate tomatoes. I genuinely like these tomatoes. This is not an ad.
I wish it was.
Definitely wish it was.
Would love for it to be an ad. Would love for it to be a hashtag ad. It's not, though.
Ice Pyro says, spinach salad gang, rise up. I like a spinach salad.
Huge,
Yeah.
absolutely. I generally will go spinach over a salad mix bag, but I'll go back and forth just for kicks.
Yeah, it kind of depends, because like lettuce, I can be very picky with lettuce. Because again, like I want the lettuce to be like, I want it to be fresh and crunchy.
Sure.
Like if it's not crunchy, if it's just kind of soggy,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of out of it. Like spinach is obviously not meant to be like a crunchy. You're right.
But
like,
you
it's
know,
different.
there is a Rubicon that spinach can
sure.
pass at some point.
Oh, for sure. I just mean like, but like that's where it's like spinach generally. Like if I buy it's the same if you go to a store, you get one of those bags. Like the spinach is probably always going to be good. The lettuce can be very hit or miss.
Yeah.
My experience is, at the very least, with Hen House with their pre-made salads. I've never had that happen. They're very good.
Would love for this to be a commercial for Hen
They
House.
also have a new like baked mac and cheese, and they have a various flavors, like a buffalo one, like a Mexican flavored one. Whew.
Oh man, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Anyway,
Claude says, "What have I tuned into?"
Welcome
Josh,
back,
you
Claude.
put that on the radio.
I think Rudy put that sound in everyone's ear, and I just didn't yell over it. Do you know what Ice Pyro is saying about Lord of the Rings there? We need Beards back for that. I don't even know how to pronounce that character's name. Denethor? Denethor? Rudy's chewing. I had a Chiefs Raiders point, but I started the show by talking about they were going to get to the Chiefs Broncos game coming up. If someone's listening to their podcast feed and heard me say that, they would think that they'd accidentally listened to last week's episode. No podcast listener even is getting to this point because they turned it off whenever I said we'll get to the upcoming Chiefs Broncos game.
They thought it was an old episode. The Nice Pyro, I think the show grew in a lot of ways when we lost Beards.
Yeah.
Our Lord of the Rings knowledge was not one of those areas. I don't really know who this dude is.
If you type Denethor into Google, the first autocomplete is Denethor tomato.
Okay.
Oh, there's a loop of 10 hours of Denethor eating cherry tomato. I don't remember. I've seen all the Lord of the Rings movies. I read The Hobbit.
Is this the king dude? I think this is the king.
Oh, gross. Oh, it's nasty. It's
this,
bad.
I'm pretty sure this is the king of like of some town they find, of a village, whatever you want to call it, castle, in like the second movie maybe. I feel like I know who this dude is.
He eats the cherry tomato and he halves it, and so just juice gets everywhere.
Oh, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
It's a small tomato. Eat the whole thing. Man, people back in the day, the way they used to eat, vicious.
Boy, I don't like
care
if
for
this
hygiene.
I don't like what this is gonna do to my algorithms.
That's the thing that always gets me. Anytime I've watched any show that is like any sort of medieval setting,
Yeah.
there's always a scene, obviously. I mean, multiple scenes of people eating.
Yeah.
And it is just disgusting.
Everyone eats like Cookie Monster.
Yeah, it's the worst. Nobody uses a fork. It's just ripping meat apart.
And their hands have dookie on them because they don't know about soap yet.
Terrible.
So you know what I just realized? I think that if Google is listening, and they always are, I'd like to offer a suggestion, and you can't have it for free. This is my intellectual property, but I will sell it to you for a very reasonable price, or a certain amount of stocks in Alphabet. But I've Googled Denethor eating a cherry tomato or whatever, and then watched the YouTube video of it. And I would just love, I know you can go back into your like history, and you can clear your history, or delete something from your
clear history,
whatever, right? And we live in there's no shame here. You live in your truth. But here's the thing. I want Google to know Google needs an "I'm not into that" button. And I'm not even saying it, whatever it means to you is what it means to you. But I don't need a lot of niche Lord of the Rings references. I respect Lord of the Rings. Listen, I have a lot of nerd friends, okay? I'm not nerdcist. I have a lot of nerd friends. A lot of them love Lord of the Rings, okay?
Yeah, that's what they all say.
But I don't need a bunch of Lord of the Rings things polluting my very carefully curated YouTube homepage, which is just still Among Us VODs from Twitch games from years ago, like a year ago.
See about that virtual reality thing?
No, what?
Oh,
hold
yeah,
on, hold that. Let me land. Hold on.
Okay.
Put a pin in that. So I just want to get the I'm not into that button off the ground. I don't need more Denethor or whatever his name is from Lord of the Rings. I don't need any more tomatoes, and I don't need videos of other people eating tomatoes. There is nothing about that search term that I want to see again. It was purely to figure out what a Twitch comment meant. And so
but
just
now it's gonna
want
follow you for the rest of your life.
in my algorithm forever.
For life.
Forever. My Instagram
20
ads.
years from now, you're going to get just like a photo that pops up of a dude eating a tomato.
Yes.
Just out of nowhere.
Yes.
It's going to ruin your day.
Or worse, something about Lord of the Rings. I just want to be able to tell Google, don't give me any more of that. Because my Instagram ads at this point are surgical.
I screenshotted 2 of them today.
Today.
They're good. And it terrifies me, and I love it, and I hate it all at the same time.
This is from Good Tweets Ted on Twitter. I know you're not a movie guy. I am a movie guy. Wait, this is from 27 minutes ago. Is this unrelated? Oh my God, it is. This is unrelated.
Before the show started.
This is from before the show began.
Oh my goodness.
He said, I know you're not a movie guy, but Fellowship of the Ring's 20th anniversary is next week, so if you have time, please check on me in the old folks' home. I'm just going to tweet back at him and just tell him not to listen to the first 30 minutes of the show today.
How is that even possible?
Because on this day in 2013, because the internet came out, the Childish Gambino album.
Such a good album.
Such a good album. One of my favorites of all time.
One of my top 5 easy.
It is a top 5 desert island.
Yeah.
Deserted island album for me.
Also desert.
Either one, yeah. Desert, deserted island. I never know which one to go with. But I tweeted about that and said, because the internet is 8 years old, then I am an ancient, dying, old man with one foot in the grave, which is how I feel knowing that album is 8 years old. And apparently,
I was 23 when that album came out. I just moved to Kentucky when that album came out.
That's the thing. You start doing that.
Yeah.
Think about where you were when all these things were happening.
I legitimately remember like driving down, I forget what the street was called, and pulling into Subway to go pick up my sandwich. Like, it was like the first time that I was like listening to the album. Like, that was part of my experience with that album. In Kentucky.
I'll give a audio medium cross promotion. Dissected, which is a Spotify Studios
I need a
deep
listen to
dive.
that
It's great. So they do seasons on albums, and they did a Because the Internet season. And if you even like the album, much less if you love that album, you should listen to that. Each episode is about a song or a track, and some of them are, I guess, doubled if it's like a little interlude or whatever. It's fabulous, though. Good.
I've got a whole thing now where it's basically just my. There's this app called Todoist. Great app.
I've heard of that. I haven't used it.
It's a very good, like, it's essentially the reminders app, right? Like for Apple's reminders app, but it's like just better. It's like you can create projects, whatever. Essentially, I have a project that is just a recommendation. Books, movies, podcasts. So give me the name of it again one more time.
Dissected.
Dissected.
I think it's Dissected.
Yeah, that's all. I'm like 99% confident you're right.
It's just Dissect.
But yeah, like
it's just Dissect, everybody. Just so you all know.
But yeah, it is a very good app. So yeah, if you're somebody who's very much into just organizing everything about your life, which I very much am, Todoist is fantastic. And also, like, you can create a template. I think you have to pay for it to be the one to share it. But in theory, I could create a template. I pay $4 a month or $5 a month for it because I just think it's great. And then I can share it to you, but you don't have to pay for it to access that. You can have the free version. You just need somebody who has the paid version.
Put a reminder for yourself in Todoist to add Todoist to your shot clock reviews.
Oh.
We need to do shot clock reviews soon because we keep accidentally doing impromptu shot clock reviews.
I've got at this point plenty of stuff. It's just remembering to put them in there.
We got an app for that.
Yeah.
Aspen said, I would love an I'm not into that button. Google decided to start sending me random basketball score updates. I don't even watch the NBA.
That might be our fault.
That might be our fault. I went in because I just got the new iPhone 13 Pro with 3 cameras.
It's good.
It seems good so far.
Phone.
I've enjoyed it. But so I was going through and I was still rocking the XS Max, which also was still a good phone until literally yesterday. Like, yeah, no complaints. But I was going through a bunch of like settings and, you know, seeing are there any apps that I don't actually want to carry over to the new phone or whatever. And I ended up in the Google app and just seeing like notification settings and some of the things that it presumes you're interested in based off like one search. Like I had a thing where it was like, all right, yeah, we're pretty sure that you love the Detroit Pistons with all your heart. So we're just going to give you Detroit Pistons score updates.
Nailed it.
All the time. It's like, oh, I'm really not. Like I Googled Cade Cunningham like once to see what was going on with him. And you guys were like, all right, just bill this man for the Cade Cunningham jersey we're sending him. It's on the way. We know what size you wear. We know everything about you. We are Google.
I'm waiting for the day. This is a Park and Recs thing where I forget the.
You moved the S to the wrong.
Park and Recs?
Yes.
Parks and Rec.
Yes, that's correct. That's better.
Well, it could also be about a single park and plenty of recreations. You know, tomato.
Now
Anyway.
I got more tomato stuff in my algorithm. Dang it.
I forget what the company's called, but it's basically Google, right? Where at the end that it gives them free internet and everything.
Yeah.
And to win over the town, they literally, everybody in the town gets just a box with their favorite things that they love because they've just collected this from, you know, down.
That's brilliant.
Honestly, I'm just waiting for that. I'm honestly mad that Google's not sent a box of just things that they know I would love to my house.
Yeah.
Like just
bribe me.
Once a year, just do a little PR thing by reading all my data.
Bezos should do this.
And just sending out just things like 5 things that I would love.
Bezos could totally change his perception by doing this. And here's where I'm at in this world that we live in with all of our information basically being public and all of that. I just want to be bribed, not robbed.
Yeah.
That's all. You're going to have my info. Let me just... Apps will now have to ask you, again, new iOS and stuff, like, will be like, hey, this app would like to track you and use all of your information and give you more detailed ads that they'll profit off of. And I usually hit, please don't. But, like, for Instagram, I just went like, yeah, sure. And that means Facebook has my cookies or whatever.
Aspen says it was Grizzle. He's right.
That's
Grizzle,
very good.
That was the Park and Recs.
It also sounds like a fictional dating app for people who have been through it, you know? Find your grizzled lover.
You've seen some things.
Yeah.
Your husband's in jail right now.
Yeah.
You've seen some things.
That's right. I can't remember where we were going with some of that, which is really surprising. That doesn't happen to us very often.
You said Facebook.
Yeah, just bribe me instead of robbing me. That's all I ask. You want all my information, Jeffrey? Sure. You can have it if you send me some cool stuff for free. Basically, we already make that agreement, though, because I'm like, hey, Apple, you can have all of my... Apple Health, I think, might be in my shot clock review, so I'm doing the thing again. Being able to set up my little blood sugar monitor to send all the stuff to my phone, and I can send all that stuff on my phone into Apple Health, and I can send it to my doctor and have Apple give Apple permission to get all my medical records, but then it makes it really easy for me to go, like, see my last set of lab results or whatever. It's really convenient. They're bribing you with convenience, and we're agreeing to it, you know? Amazon knows everything about me because they can ship me literally anything in the world in 2 days.
Sometimes it's 1 day now.
Yeah.
They're really stepping up their game.
There was, I don't remember what it was, but something I ordered a few days ago was like, hey, we can get it to you tonight for $6 extra. And I was like, that's awesome, but no, I don't need it that bad. It was like a candle or something.
I'll save $6 to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah,
but
right.
also thank you for the options.
Don't flip the camera on me yet, because I think I might have Christmas gifts in my Amazon gift cart right now, or shopping cart or whatever. I definitely do. I was trying to figure out what it was that it offered me such an immediate payout for. I think it might have just been coffee, which I also buy through Amazon now. I bought shampoo and conditioner on Amazon.
I get my shampoo and conditioner from Amazon, partly because
I don't go to the store.
I get kind of a special one that I don't. I'm sure I can find it in a store here. It's not that special.
Put that in your shot clock reviews. I want to hear about your shampoo and conditioner. And
but
shot
I
clock
don't
reviews.
know where to find it. But I know I can find it on it. I know
You
it's on
can
Amazon.
find it on Amazon, and then 48 hours later, it's gonna be on your doorstep.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a store it's in, but I don't know where.
What, you expect me to
I'm not gonna walk around each store
drive?
I'm not gonna just start going into stores trying to find shampoo and conditioner when I know a place where I can buy it.
No, because it's not the Middle Ages. We have stuff delivered to our door. We eat food like a civilized human being, and we pop the entire cherry tomato into our mouths all at once. And Google already knew that before I even said it out loud.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sport.
KC locations in OP, Lenexa, Prairie Village, and Lee Summit.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
The first commandment of Almost Entirely Sports is, thou shalt abandon all pre-planned material in favor of the best possible radio show.
It's going to be a big tablet if this is the first one.
Well, we're going to edit it down later. The second commandment is, thou shalt respect the nonsense. The third commandment, I think, is thou shalt talk Chiefs when there's any possible reason to.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We're going to talk Chiefs in just 1 second. My nose has been running for like 2 weeks now.
It's the cold.
It's not. It was like 70 degrees the last couple of days.
It's the cold.
It's not even cold.
The cold's in the air.
It's just December.
The cold is in the air.
It got cold, and then I went to Florida, and I came back and brought sweet weather with me for the most part, and it hasn't really been cold since then. And cold doesn't... I'm going to just keep trying to remind you of this so you don't continue to spread this misinformation, this vile misinformation on this show. Cold does not give you colds.
It's in the name.
I mean, that one's hard for me to come back from, I guess. I believe that the actual... I didn't even realize the Suns and Celtics are playing tonight. I'm wearing a Suns shirt, not to rub it in Beards' face, of course, because he's no longer with us, R.I.P. And also, the entire Suns are hurt. Weirdly, Chris Paul is like the only dude not on the injury report today.
The young, spry Chris Paul.
Never hurt, never banged up, definitely not 60 years old. No Booker or Ayton tonight, so that might not be a ton of fun.
Still probably better than the Celtics.
Something that also just popped up on my Twitter timeline here that I forgot to mention to you because you forwarded me an email about this, Rudy.
Yes, I forgot that I forwarded you this. I meant to ask, mention it to you.
I signed up to be notified.
I did too.
Are we gonna get in on the NFL equivalent of Top Shot? I can't remember what it's called. It should just be called Top Shot.
Yeah, I don't know if I can fully...
It should be called Headshot, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I don't know if I can fully get into it, but I also feel like I have to buy, like, a pack if I'm able to buy a pack.
That's kind of how I feel.
Like, the chance of owning a Patrick Mahomes moment feels too good to pass up.
Yeah, and by owning a Patrick Mahomes moment, you mean... downloading a YouTube video is basically what you mean.
Owning a moment. It's mine. With that serial number, it's mine. And did you see they have also, like Dapper, the company who owns Top Shot and the new NFL, I forget what it's called too, they've officially put out, like, a device to display and hang up on your wall. And again, having a Patrick Mahomes one would be pretty freaking cool. Again, I don't think I can get fully back into this the way that we were with the NBA, right? I mean... Let me rephrase this. The only way I can is if I get a pack and in that pack I get that $400, $500 moment.
Yeah,
I'm back in for at least another month, right? I'm going hard on this for a month.
One of mine sold.
I know me.
One of my NBA ones sold like a week ago for like $50. I listed it like months ago.
When you put that out there, I'd forgotten all about Top Shot. I saw moments on the market too, apparently.
You and I were gonna trade some Nuggets and Suns.
I need to get on there and just look at my account again at some point. But I feel like if given the opportunity to buy an NFL pack, assuming it's a $7 or $8 pack, right? Yeah. If it's $100, whatever, of course, I'm out. No, I'm good. If it's like a normal $7, $8 pack, I feel like I should buy one.
That's kind of where I'm at also. And it's show content.
Yeah.
And there's I have not.
It's the NFL. And again, it's having a Patrick Mahomes moment. Because
we're Mahomes.
We're NBA fans. Mm-hmm. It's a little different with the Chiefs. It's a little different with Mahomes. It's a little different with Kelsey. I want to see Hill giving the peace sign to somebody.
Oh, dude, I would pay a significant amount of money for one of Clyde Edwards-Helaire's touchdown pointing at that dude. Partially because I want the NFL to actively be monetizing off of something they penalized, but also partially just because I think that might be my favorite moment of the NFL season. That's when the NFL it showed its entire face. Yeah. For what the taunting rules are.
It was very much similar to when they were throwing flags for big hits, but then also every Sunday you would have the Got Jack segment. Yep. And now technically that is not the NFL does not own ESPN, but
the NFL used to sell DVDs of that.
Of those moments. So And again, like the idea of also of like, and I would need to see what Dapper's actually selling their device and like one, how
that
much
is
does
enticing.
it cost, and two, is this hey, I can only pick one moment because then I lose.
Oh, you just got to loot through your library. It's got to.
And that's what I'm saying. The preview that they showed only showed one moment, and so but that doesn't mean right that you can access more. But if it is a situation where you're only allowed one moment for this one thing, then it loses its luster for me because I want to be able to upload like Chiefs and Nuggets, right? Like a collection of teams that I like,
right?
And see those highlights because then I would totally put that up on my wall. And I don't know if I'd ever get into buying packs again, but I could see myself every now and be like, I'll buy this moment for $7. I'll buy this $3 moment, right? Like just to add to that because that would be kind of cool to me to see little highlights of players and teams that I root for.
But if it's just a Daniel Jones rushing touchdown and a Jaylen Brown layup.
Or even if it's just a Nikola Jokic dunk on repeat, it's just that one moment. I'm kind of out then, right?
Yeah, that's a good call.
I need to see. I want to see all of them.
Ice Pyro on Twitch said I had a runny nose a couple weeks ago and it turned out to be COVID. I had a COVID test yesterday. Yesterday.
Josh, can I talk to you?
Yesterday it came back clean.
Josh,
yeah. You want to go home? I'll go home.
No. Last time you thought your symptoms were one thing. It turned out to be something very different. I don't mean to make light of this.
That's a good point.
But maybe we should go get rechecked.
For like 2 months, I was like, I'm pretty thirsty, and I've been peeing a lot, theoretically, because I'm drinking a lot. My body was like, you have diabetes! I was like, it's probably allergies.
I'm just working a lot right now.
I'm just been really busy. I'm just tired. I'm staying hydrated. That's probably for the best. Also, Dillard on Twitch said, "Oof, need a box of Kleenex. How can you use paper towels?" I think we talked about this in the post-game show at one point, very late, and I think a post-prime time. Might have been last week. I don't remember. I don't mind blowing my nose with paper towels. I am a violent nose blower, and I know it's going to stand up to the challenge. Is it a little rougher? Sure, but I'm built different. Sorry that you all have soft little noses that need to be pampered.
My nose is pretty soft. After a while, I can do it a couple of times, but after a while, my nose it's red. It hurts a little bit. I'm like, I don't like this.
If it was more absorbent, I'd use sandpaper to blow my nose. But paper towels are right in that middle ground. Also, I don't think there's a box of Kleenex anywhere in this building.
There are. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I might take some.
In the break room above the sink, I think there's like one box left.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I mean, I don't mind either. It's fine.
Built different.
All kinds of ASMR tonight.
Yeah, this really is an AESMR hour for sure.
I know what the podcast title's called.
Yep, that just is what it is, I guess, huh? What if we take a break and I promise to come back and pick one of the Chiefs audio clips from this week? Will that bail out the hour?
No.
No, I agree.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere? entirely sports with Joshua Brisco.
This show is an oddball, and I love that about it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll talk about the border war restarting tomorrow. We'll talk about all sorts of Chiefs things. Look ahead to Chiefs Raiders with Sterling Holmes of ESPN Kansas City and the Arrowhead Addict podcast whenever we come back on the other side of this segment starting at 8. And then Matt Verderame will join us at 9 tonight. But I do want to get at least a little bit, one of our 3 clips. We're going to try to stay on this 1 clip an hour pace and see if we get through all 3 today. It's not looking great, but we're going to get one in this hour from the Chiefs press conferences of this week. This is one of the illustrious questions that I was able to ask out at Chiefs pressers yesterday. I like asking questions to Steve Spagnuolo. He usually says something that he was maybe not exactly supposed to say, which you're going to hear out at the beginning of this one, and then a really good answer for what's behind it. I'm very, very glad for the defense to be playing better for a variety of reasons, but one is that I truly hope that the Chiefs defense is always good enough for Spags to keep his job, but never so good that he gets another head coaching gig. Just to be totally honest.
Sorry.
What'd you say?
I jumped the gun.
What did you say? Oh, you hit the button?
Yeah.
I thought you said something.
Oh, you thought I was... Oh, man, I could just play this off. My bad.
I wasn't looking at you. I was looking away.
Yeah, I always kind of have my finger like hovering over the space bar. You ever just like have your finger on something, you just, for whatever reason, just like reacts kind of?
Sure, yeah.
That's what happened.
You had a little finger spasm. So those cherry tomatoes coursing through your veins right now.
The rush.
You've got a rush. You have a cherry tomato rush. So I asked Steve Spagnuolo yesterday about one of the snap counts that were interesting on the defensive side of the ball, because with Rashad Fenton out with his knee issue, and he could be back for this game coming up tomorrow or Sunday, which is exciting. But with Fenton out, DeAndre Baker and Mike Hughes had kind of been the next guy up, but it had really been Hughes pretty much this entire year whenever he'd been out there. Baker got more work, though, against the Broncos by a pretty wide margin. So I asked Steve Spagnuolo, what was it that played into DeAndre Baker getting more work than Mike Hughes last weekend?
Well, Mike was dealing with a calf in and out, during the game, and so part of it was that. But Bake, we say it all the time. Tyron and I say it all the time. He's a gamer. Like he looks just so much better out in game day than sometimes in practice. Of course, practice he's more doing the scout team. But I was pleased with the way he played. He's another guy that plays aggressive and hard when he gets out there on game day. So that helped us.
Spags finds a way to give a nickname to a guy by just taking one letter off the end of his name. He called him Bake. I didn't even catch that in real time. Bake. It's also a good nickname.
It is.
The Hughes calf injury may have been the thing that ended up tilting the scales there. What'll be interesting to see, and if Fenton comes back, it may be a moot point, but it'll be interesting to see if Baker was able to do enough there to actually move himself up one in the hierarchy there amongst those corners, because I actually think that with some of the up and down stuff we've seen from Hughes, I am at least ready to see Baker get a little bit of a longer look. I also thought it looked like he played pretty well against the Broncos and took advantage of that. I tweeted out the one clip there, or one quote from that clip of him saying that that Baker can play better than he practices, and I think some people immediately saw that as like a weird thing to say, because either that means that you maybe you're misevaluating him or he's not practicing well. But I really think that in the context of that full clip, you should probably hear that Spags is saying, hey, he's playing on the scout team during practices, so I think it makes sense. You're not playing for pick sixes every rep on scout team. I would think you're trying to do the thing your coaching staff is asking you to do, or replicate the players you're trying to replicate and all of that. So whatever the logic is, though, if he plays well on game days and is able to be one of those guys that I think fits that prototype, you hear some of those buzzwords of him being aggressive and physical, and he plays hard and all of that stuff, that ultimately also then fits a physical scheme, a physical prototype that Spags likes, and a pedigree one that Brett Veach loves, because he was a former high draft pick that flamed out at his original location, shows up in Kansas City. What can you get out of him? Also on that note, Josh Jackson, who went, I think, one pick ahead of Breeland Speaks to the Packers. The Chiefs brought him in and signed him to their practice squad a few weeks ago. Dave Tobe mentioned him and DiCaprio Bootle, undrafted free agent this last draft class, as being the two guys on the practice squad that would be most likely probably to get the call up on game day to replace Chris Lamons. Or Lamons. Tobe said Lamons. I think. But one of those guys is probably going to get some more special teams work. Maybe they get into the defensive rotation. Just a little tiny thing to keep an eye out for. We'll talk about a lot of other stuff and a lot of Chiefs with Sterling Holmes next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, this is Terry with Zarda Barbecue. The holidays are here. Whether it's for home or an office party, show them how much you care with Zarda's award-winning barbecue. Zarda Barbecue has you covered with tender pit-charred burn-ins, fresh pulled pork, our famous burn-in beans, cheesy potato bake, crisp kosher dills, and even scratch-made double chocolate brownies. Don't wait. Call us now and let Zarda handle all your holiday party needs. Zarda Barbecue for the holidays. Come get some.
Hi, I'm Steve Hedgepath with Quad Power Products. We know that time is money, and we pride ourselves in getting our customers back up and running quickly. At Quad Power Products, we can duplicate your hydraulic hose assemblies while you wait, in most cases getting you back out the door in 15 minutes or less. We have an excellent inventory of hydraulic hoses, quick couplers, and adapters, and we pair it with the best customer service. Come see us today, Quad Power Products on Hickman Mills Drive, just south of the Triangle in South Kansas City.
Your Kansas City Acura dealers are partnering with quarterback sensation Patrick Mahomes in support of his charity, 15 in the Mahomies, a foundation dedicated to improving the lives of children by focusing on health, wellness, and providing resources for communities in need. Test drive any Acura at J. Wolf Acura and J. Wolf Acura of Overland Park, and they'll make a donation on your behalf. Plus, you'll be entered for a chance to win a Patrick Mahomes jersey. Shop, save, and make a difference at your Kansas City Acura dealers.
Kansas City's hometown sports station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I've loved the attitude. I've loved the defense.
We're winning a lot of football games, and we're winning by pretty big margins. We expect greatness from each other, and so we want to continue to get better as an offense, and the defense continue to get better, and hopefully create a great football team.
When you want the latest on your favorite teams, tune into your hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, this is Nate Bucati for my buddy Gary John.
Sean, Jay, Will, and Max on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like Mizzou would somehow win the NCAA tournament this year, even though they didn't make the tournament. So,
don't ever compare Slim Chickens to Mizzou ever again, okay? Or I will hang up on you right now.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
I'm never 100% sure where we're going to land whenever the one, the only, Sterling Holmes joins the show. You can hear him weekdays with Darren and Sterling over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. You can hear him on the Arrowhead Addict podcast, which also exists in video streaming and audio form, of course. Plus, you may even see a byline on Arrowhead Addict over on Inside the Royals on the SI Fan Nation Network. He's a man of many talents, or at least a man that does a lot of things. I don't know how many talents you have, Sterling.
About three talents.
3 total talents?
Yeah, about 3.
Name them.
Drinking Busch Light.
Would have bet my literal life on that being one of them.
Reading books.
Yes, you're a big book fan, Sterling Holmes.
Making pot roast.
That's where we're going to start right there. Tell me about why you are an elite pot roast maker.
The key is in the beef broth.
Okay.
So sometimes people, they don't put too much, or they put too much beef broth in, and then you're sitting here with the soggy ass pot roast. You don't want that. That's gross.
It's not. You're not making a stew or a soup. A pot roast isn't a stew. It's on the other side of a stew.
It's on the cusp of a stew, but not. I am stew, but not actual a stew.
Whenever you are sipping a bowl of thick broth, you're stewing right there. You're double stewing.
Double stew. But no, the key is in the amount of beef broth.
Okay.
The key is in how you cut the potatoes, because if you get a full potato without cutting it, the inside's going to be a little too hard.
You're basically going to bite into an apple at that point.
And you got to let it simmer for about 8 hours on low.
Yeah.
The people that put it on high for 4, no.
You can't.
You're cutting corners.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't cut corners.
If you've learned anything from the famous works of Sting, you can't rush a beautiful, wonderful thing. You got to take your time. So tell me, what are your mise en place? What's going into the pot roast other than the potatoes, the hunk of beef, I imagine, and the broth itself? What are you a carrots and celery and onion kind of guy?
Yeah, you got to get a good onion.
Yeah,
and because the onion really makes it. Onion is the most underrated of all of the vegetables.
Rudy hates onions, and I'm totally with you.
Well, maybe that's why Rudy's not here.
Yeah, he's gone. He died. We powered him off for this segment, and then we'll power him back on again after this segment.
It's like a robot. You're just sitting here like, Rudy, get out of here.
We got to get him a power nap at any point possible. So we just told him, hey, Rudy, go ahead and step over into our our little concussion closet or whatever, and take a quick half-hour nappy, and then I'll bring you back out, and you'll be nice and rejuvenated.
Because dude probably makes his pot roast with energy drinks typically.
He does Red Bull and then just a raw chicken thigh.
The onion makes it. The carrots make it. You got to have the long carrots. If you put the little baby carrots, those are good.
Yeah.
But get them full carrot.
That's right.
Come on.
Yeah.
We're hearty. It's making a hearty meal. We're not babies.
Yeah, this isn't a bisque. You're not about to put this in the blender at the end. You want to have a little bite to your pot roast.
Exactly. And then you got to season it, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have like a secret ingredient. You don't throw in some star anise. You don't throw in a little ginger or something. There's nothing weird, wonky, off the wall.
It's classic. It's not a Thanksgiving that the person brings that thing you hate. They're like, you know how we make a good thing?
Yeah.
Well, let's make mac and cheese, but like put cream cheese in it for some reason.
Well,
I'm not that person.
Hold on. I was with you all the way until you said mac and cheese with cream cheese, and then I thought that sounds pretty good. But I understand your logic there.
Yeah.
I think cream cheese and mac and cheese would probably be delicious.
Not the time. Thanksgiving's never the time to mess with a great thing.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's the time that everyone wants to mess with a great thing. It blows my mind. Hey, you know how we're having 30 people over that like mashed potatoes?
What if I put raisins in it?
Yeah, what if you put raisins in it?
Yeah. I think that this is a white people problem, though, also. because Thanksgiving is a time when you can be like, hey, look, I've watched some Gordon Ramsay, I've watched some Food Network. Let me go ahead and try to flex a little bit for the family.
Yeah.
And then you show up and your entire family is like, why are there entire raw cranberries inside the mashed potatoes?
And then
like,
you find out grandma's allergic to cranberries, and it's
Oh,
a
it's a
whole
thing.
whole ordeal.
Favorite, least favorite Thanksgiving thing. I know we're on the other side of it, but we're talking about food now, and I like this space that we're in. I'm a little hungry.
Sweet potato casserole is elite.
Oh, it's one of my. I think that's near the bottom of my overrated, underrated.
Because if you make a good sweet potato casserole, incredible.
Yeah.
If it's a bad sweet potato casserole, it's horrendous and it belongs in the trash.
That's true.
My aunt, or cousin technically, it's a lot of third cousins, and it's Southern Indiana. Not what you think. Don't give me that look. We're not Alabama over here. I'm telling you, she's like 40 and I'm 27. So when you're growing up, that's a huge age gap. Southern Indiana knows how to make food. Sweet potato casserole,
that one go,
blackberry cobbler, and sweet tea.
Blackberry cobbler sounds incredible.
Incredible.
Sounds incredible.
And
What's your least favorite Thanksgiving staple? The one that you just say, you know what? Maybe it's either the one that you pass over completely with your plate, or you take
Peas.
a little
okay,
bit.
The peas, I'm passing.
Just peas?
If people like, that's not like a staple. If you're gonna go with a staple, I might say dressing. I might go with the dressing.
Okay,
the stuffing.
So stuffing, dressing used synonymously there. I've really grown to appreciate the stuffing, I would say, in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years probably. As I have matured, so has my palate, so has my appreciation of a good thing of stuffing. Although I think stuffing ends up getting made inside of the bird, and dressing is like stovetop. But I've only had the stovetop.
Yeah, I don't know the difference.
I'm not trying to dig bread out of a turkey to then eat it. That feels...
Anytime I'm digging something out of a cavity, it just sounds gross.
Yeah. No one ever says, like, hey, real quick, scoop out what's inside of that cavity. And you go, oh, yummy. Like that. No, you're right. That doesn't sound good at all. You know what also might not sound good to your ears? Border Wars back, baby. You're wearing the little Mizzou quarter zip over your 810 polo right now. You are business casual, Sterling, which occasionally this man shows up in a suit because he's a fancy boy and for no other reason. But I ran this by you yesterday. I don't know why it even just came up, but I haven't talked to any Mizzou people all week. I haven't really drilled in on what people are looking forward to here. I like that KU and Mizzou are playing again, but how do you feel about this, first, just from the perspective of a Mizzou fan who's going to watch this game on Saturday?
I have my tissues ready. I'm going to cry.
Oh, you're that excited. Oh.
Yeah. Man.
You're worried about it being bad.
Yeah, dude. Mizzou is horrible. I am the least excited about Gonzo Martin there is. They're gonna, I'm excited the Border War's back. First and foremost, I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
this was what I remember as a kid. I remember growing up in the hallways and getting into arguments over KU Mizzou when they were both in the top 25. And Kansas is about to wax the floor. And nothing against, I don't want you to pick on him, but like Jordan Wilmore, the 7'2" guy who somehow plays like he's 6'3", he's going to get blocked 37 times. He might not get a rebound because Kobe Brown gets all of them. If Mizzou didn't have Kobe Brown, who's the Russell Westbrook of this Mizzou team,
great reference.
They might lose by 70.
Yeah, good.
I mean, you lose to UMK, you lose to your feeder school. How are you going to do against a top 10, who I think, by the way, I went to Mizzou, so...
You can say all this. This is all safe for you.
But for, I don't typically like Kansas, but they're a Final Four team in my mind. I think if I had to pick a Final Four team right now who's a lock, them, Gonzaga, KU's up there. I mean, they had so many great transfers. The transfer portal is meant for Bill Self in Kansas. But my God, this makes Kim Anderson's Mizzou team look decent. Like Kevin Purrier, come back.
They got throttled by Liberty. You know, that sentence is bad. Losing to UMKC, being throttled by UMKC.
No one goes
rough.
into the Liberty Flames arena and comes out alive. I mean, everyone knows the Liberty Flames is just a tough place to play.
They lost by 3 touchdowns to Liberty basketball.
Sounds like a KU football game.
Fair. You can't hurt me. I'm not. I'm not invested. That's the thing. I'm Switzerland on this border war. And so for me, the thing that I've said this many times, I think that Mizzou is my favorite sad Twitter subset within Kansas City sports Twitter, because you Mizzou people are self-aware. You know what you are at all times. You are deeply aware of both your shames and your flaws and your recent upsetting past, and in all likelihood, your soon-to-be upsetting future.
Sure.
Very self-aware of all of that, which bums me out a little bit, because the idea of this game actually, like, being a nail-biter at the end would make it... You say you're excited for the border war to be back. Can you imagine what it would feel like if there's 3 minutes left and this game is tied?
Did Kim English and Marcus Denman come back? I mean,
I don't think it's going to happen, but it just makes me sad that this is the way that it's starting.
And that's the same thing for me. Is I'm very excited it's back, but this really sucks. I mean, Gonzo Martin, year 5. My goodness, are you serious? The only reason why he was hired was for Michael Porter Jr., and he played like 5 games.
5 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, dude, that's the only reason he was hired was for the Porter brothers. They're gone. He obviously can't recruit.
It's bad, man. Year 5 like sneaks up on you in this. Like, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it also feels like it's been a decade, right? And for you, I imagine it really does feel that way.
He can't coach.
You're done. You are marked out. You're not Martin. You're marked out at this point.
I mean, the fact is, sure, he made it to the tournament last year, but that was through a lot of luck, and that was his 4-year guys. I mean, that was his year where you're like, you have all of your seniors here, you have all your good players, and then he decides, hey, you know that guy who can't shoot? Let's play him over our best player so that way he transfers, so we lose our best player for next year, and we have literally nothing besides Kobe Brown. It'd be like saying, hey, we have Steph Curry. Let's play Andre Roberson in a game when we need to come back. What? I am so ready. But just full perspective here. Mizzou moved to the SEC.
Yes.
So they're getting a big boost in money.
Yeah.
You're playing with the big boys. Now act like you're a big boy. You're seeing teams around college basketball, college football, buying out coaches, paying $10 million for a dude to leave.
Which sounds like a great...
Pay the $5.
Seems like a great deal.
It's a $1 million buyout at the end of, what is it? Like, it's like... I don't know, April.
I think it's in
$6
March.
million now.
I think it
so
cuts
it's like
down.
a $5 million difference, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you lose out on Kim English, who, and again, I'm not saying Kim English is going to be a great coach, but that's one thing that you know Mizzou fans, alumni, everyone's going to rally behind.
Right.
If Kim English doesn't pan out, no one's going to say a word. If Kim English decides to go to Maryland and you miss out on Kim English and you hire some other trash coach who can't recruit, there's no reason Mizzou should not be a consistent top 25 school again. It makes zero sense. First off,
it makes some sense. They went to the SEC and haven't had any success
they
at
were
all.
supposed to get better in basketball. Everyone goes, okay, football's going to be a struggle, but okay, outside of Kentucky and Florida.
That's fair.
My God, like
it just feels like the entire athletic department has been largely treading water at best.
And let's hire an AD who only cares about money and not on-field performance. That's great.
You need the money to pay for the buyout, which they're gonna. I think
if you're gonna do,
they're gonna wait and do the buyout whenever it's a little bit more financially stable for them to do so. But are you nervous? This. I'm sad for you that we are this early on. In my book, college basketball has not actually started yet.
Sure.
And your season is over.
Way over.
It is
way over.
Are you worried that? Do you think that even whenever they do ultimately fire Quanzo Martin, I always add an extra "wuh" sound early in his name that I'm not sure supposed to be there. It's only been 5 years. Give me 5 more. You know what? Let's give him 5 more years. Are you concerned that you're going to be able to land any sort of coach of any pedigree to come take this job? It's not a good job right now.
No, it's a horrible job right now. Again, that's why you have to get someone early, a.k.a. Kim English at George Mason, before he pops off and then everyone is looking. I mean, the fact that Maryland is looking for him, that's a tough get because he grew up in the D.C. area. Like,
your concern is that by the end of the season, he's going to be too hot for Mizzou.
He's going to be too hot for Mizzou.
Okay.
And do you choose, for him, do you choose a place where you grew up or do you choose a place where you went to school for 4 years? And that's a fair assessment. He might choose Maryland either way.
Yeah.
Hell, I would
take
Mark
Turgeon.
I would take Turgeon. I mean, he's been a very solid head coach for a long time. At least bring us back to respectability. I always said Bruce Pearl, but Mizzou decides, hey,
Bruce Pearl would not take this job. I said this yesterday.
He had a chance to get. They had a chance to get Bruce Pearl a while ago. I think they actually had a chance, and they decided let's go the whole non-allegation route. A guy who doesn't buy the books. And where has that got you?
Okay, so with that in mind, Follow me here. Follow me perhaps to Greece. Follow me to Iona.
Oh, yeah.
Follow me to Rick Pitino.
Inject it into my veins.
It would be such a hilariously fun hire. And I think that, unless I'm missing something, and I'm probably missing something, it feels like a lot of the paying players, and I do think there was probably some untoward additional things around there with people brought to the places the players were at, I believe, now that I'm thinking about it. Our sensibilities have loosened up. We're in the era of name, image, and likeness. Everybody's getting paid now. Let Rick Pitino come and be your vampire on the sideline that can recruit, that can coach, and that can also, break the rules softly in an era where we're all playing fast and loose with the rules at this point.
Bill Self has been bending the rules.
I don't think he's going to take
forever.
the Mizzou. Oh, that's not what she meant.
Oh, by the way, fun fact.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't bring that one up.
Yeah, you want to talk about that for
Quinn
another
Snyder?
20 minutes?
Yeah, Quinn Snyder. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, doing great in the NBA.
Sure is.
Jordan Clarkson, not great at Mizzou, great in the NBA. It's.
What did Bill Self do after Mizzou did not hire him?
I blocked that completely out of my memory.
His that name sounds really. Does it go by William? Bill Self. S-E-L-F. I'll Google him later.
So yeah, give me anyone who slightly bends the rules, but I don't care. Just win games. Everyone bends the rules in college sports.
Yeah.
Do you think Nick Saban hasn't been bending the rules?
I think that literally every single athletic department in the NCAA has some sort of violation that either has not fully been brought to the light or that enough people have said, who bleeping cares?
Or
because
just,
most of those rules are bad.
And just say, you know what, we didn't do anything, and be like Kansas or North Carolina and get away with nothing.
Yeah, just fight it forever.
Or admit that you did something and be like Mizzou and just get
Oklahoma State, Mizzou.
Yeah.
It's
so stupid.
No, just fight it.
Yeah. So, yes.
Good example to set, NCAA. You guys are really doing a bang-up job.
Yeah.
Last thing before we can talk about some other stuff that's not in this realm, but you mentioned that you're glad that this is simply happening again. So to zoom out and away from the micro of this game and to the macro of KU and Mizzou playing sports against each other once again, I guess maybe KU fans are the ones that lean a little more towards the sort of spurned lover of the duo, saying, you left us, we didn't leave you. And I am not terribly precious about any of that. I don't particularly care that Mizzou went to the SEC to get some of that good football money. And again, if you're KU right now, you can also point and laugh because of the conversation we've just been having. And that's fair enough. For me, I want more regional rivalries to happen regardless of what conference alignment they may have had in years past or maybe never even had. I wish KU Wichita State played more often. I'm glad that Mizzou and Wichita State played. I'd like to see more UMKC having them in the mix. Occasionally you get an upset like we saw already this year. Sorry again about that for you. But I like a regional rivalry regardless of what sort of party lines you have to cross to make that happen, especially now in this era of super realigning conferences, which is especially that leaves basketball as to be hit by shrapnel because all of the moving and shaking is because of the football programs. I'm really glad that this is happening, and it sounds like you are also, and maybe that it would continue and hopefully, for your sake at least, have a real rivalry actually develop there again.
I mean, some of the best memories, I think even for Kansas fans to an extent, as far as if you're taking away Final Fours, because Mizzou, we wouldn't know, has been Mizzou-Kansas matchups. I mean, let's be real here. Marcus Denman going off, Thomas Gardner going off. Just there's so many fun memories growing up between Kansas, Missouri. Who was the dude? Was it like Christian Moody, the dude that missed 2 free throws for Kansas?
Sure.
And I still remember where I was.
Yeah.
I also remember where I was when Thomas Robinson didn't get called for a foul when he completely decked. I think it was Denman. On that shot, but and Kansas fans would never let me hear the end of it. It's just fun. That's to me what makes sports fun. I don't care about Missouri playing Auburn.
Right.
I don't have any. And again, maybe in time I will. But
sure, in 10 years you might.
But still, it's not even the same. They're trying hard with Missouri and Arkansas, and there's still some sort of, you could say, rivalry. And then this again, kind of close to proximity.
Right.
But Kansas, Missouri, there's just something different. Hell, when. It was based on burning Lawrence down. You're basing this of literally burning the other college to the ground, a city. You can't make it up.
Right. It's a great rivalry, and you know, we pivot to Chiefs Raiders on this front, but like it's weird because we just saw Chiefs Raiders like 2 games removed from Chiefs Raiders round 1 from our perspective here, at least. Obviously the bye week in there as well. But if the Raiders for some reason ended up in the NFC West, this is a clunky analogy because it doesn't really work this way. Your bottle of water is like an optical illusion right now. You sat it on top of your lid, and I look
Good
like
thing we're around a lot of electronics.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. It's okay. Sometimes the roof leaks and water lands right in that general area. So I think at this point everything's pretty much waterproof. But if the Raiders had some reason to, maybe they had a competitive advantage if they moved to the NFC West, and it was a huge reorganizing that the league did. You know what I would love to see the NFL do with the 17th game, and they could already be doing this. Instead of doing the algorithm of you go to this division, where you finish, bring rivalry games to your 17th game. Make it rivalry week, and maybe it's not perfectly balanced because if you're the Patriots, you're always playing, I don't know, the Colts. And maybe in some years that is terrible for both of those teams because they're good. Some years, maybe the Patriots just run away with it, whatever. I think that getting sensitive about that in sports with the ultimate conclusion of it meaning less rivalry games, at some point you've lost the plot, right? If you're a KU fan that says, wish you guys went to the SEC. Yeah, and KU might have been 45 minutes away from going to the Big Ten, because money opens up, spots open up, and you go grab whatever you can get and try to stay alive. But it is so rare to have a rivalry, I think, this good of, like I said, of proximity, because you walk up and down the hallways here or at literally any workplace in the Kansas City area, and you're going to find a KU grad and a Mizzou grad. You're going to find somebody who roots for KU who didn't go to KU and someone who roots for Mizzou who didn't go to Mizzou. Like, you are going to find those people everywhere. It's more fun when the teams play. So it's not just all empty talk and empty yapping.
Well, that's why I personally was very upset when the Chargers went from San Diego to
LA.
Yeah. I mean, there's that to me because the Chargers fan base.
Even the Raiders going Oakland to Vegas,
and I hate
maybe
that.
Even more so.
I especially hate that one. And I understand you could say that the LA Raiders. I understand that, but Vegas, that to me it made no sense because the Oakland fan base and even before then the LA, they were so passionate.
Mm-hmm.
And say what you will, they're a bunch of clowns. The face paint, the spikes.
They got a brand, man.
I mean, hell, their quarterback even wears makeup. That eyeliner of Derek Carr, but. It was fun, right? Like I enjoyed the I don't want to say hatred, but like there was a legitimate rivalry.
The black hole. If you broke off a long touchdown in Oakland and you were entering through the black hole, you might get hit by something thrown from the black hole. That's not going to happen in Vegas, man. If somebody throws something from the stands in Vegas and it hits a player's helmet, they're going to get sniped from the top of their Roomba stadium or whatever. Like, I think that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, and same thing with the Chargers. And again, San Diego, it's not like they were the most passionate fan base,
right.
But in LA, they're really just, it's nothing. It's like 17 fans, some dudes who are just walking down the street saying, hey, I saw $8 tickets on StubHub. Let me go in here.
Yep.
It just, to me, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it takes some of the air out of it, which I think is also, like we've said, I think that's part of the reason that it's great to have Mizzou and KU back. So let's stick with Chiefs Raiders then for a little bit, because as I've mentioned, you can check out Sterling and the other cast of characters on the Arrowhead Addict podcast and everything that he does there. So tell me what I should care about for Chiefs Raiders round 2. No Darren Waller is obviously enormous for the Raiders offense, but beyond that, I mean, these are relatively similar teams. This isn't going to be a situation where the Chiefs, when they play the Chargers at the beginning of the year and they'll play them again coming up on Thursday. Those are very different teams. The Chiefs defense is fundamentally different from point A to point B. Are these teams different from the first time they played a few weeks ago?
No.
Do you expect it to go any differently?
Slightly. I don't think the Chiefs put up 41. I think the Chiefs put up, let's say, 27, 28. The Chiefs' offense hasn't rolled at all. They haven't clicked seemingly all season long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect them to all of a sudden, against the Raiders, it comes together again. That seems a little bit foolhardy to believe. I think it improves. Defensively, though, I think they're legit. Yeah. Ever since they got Melvin Ingram, and I said Ingram might not do much. He's done more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I go, Ingram might not do anything. But the fact that he's playing edge and that gave him the excuse to move Chris Jones back inside was the complete difference maker. Because now they're getting pressure. It makes the secondary look incredible. When you have Nick Bolton Surprisingly, Ben Neiman in the right spot. Anthony Hitchens is playing well.
Yep.
Willie Gay Jr. doing his thing. It just makes the whole defense look better when you're getting pressure on the quarterback. Frank Clark is obviously healthy. The Bubba Guts, knock on wood, seem to be behind him, the hamstring.
Yeah.
And then Jaron Reed's off of the milk carton.
Right.
Finally making plays. And now you're actually talking about how deep the defensive line is.
Yeah.
And it's just been a complete 180. And I think, again, it all starts with Chris Jones moving back inside.
Yeah, it's interesting because they were starting to do that a little bit more before they traded for Ingram. So I do think that they've realized their mistake on that front, or just that they weren't being productive enough on that front. But having Ingram in, and then as you mentioned there, Frank Clark getting healthy, and then having Chris Jones spending a lot more of his time on the inside. And they still move around a little bit, which is fine. You have a matchup you like, move him outside. That's okay with me. But as the default, keeping him on the interior, having that rotation around, again, a healthy Frank Clark, like it really is crazy to think that, you know what, having one unit play a lot better helps every other unit play a lot better. Then those units start playing better, which helps the original unit. It is a team game, which I think oftentimes maybe we miss a little bit. But it's even funnier to me that you said the thing that I said yesterday, which is that I think I might be more confident in the Chiefs' defense as a unit right now than the Chiefs' offense. Now, a little bit of that is tainted by the last, years of what we've seen from both of these units. And so in a vacuum, I would rather have, if you said, hey, you get to restart it, you have to start a new team, and you can either start with the Chiefs' offense or the Chiefs' defense. We're all taking Patrick Mahomes, okay? But
does Dan Sorensen, does he
move the needle a little bit for me?
Armani Watts, maybe?
Yeah, that does. I'm starting to tilt again. I'm leaning Mahomes. Should I get Ben Neiman? But it's funny to be at this place where we're more confident that the defense's renaissance is for real than we are that the offense will figure it out before it's too late, which is crazy to me. So whenever you look at the offense and you're at that point also, what is it that you're most – what is it that has – perhaps dissuaded you from some earlier optimism in terms of them looking like their old self again this year?
I think part of it is the coaching staff. I love Andy Reid, and I'm not saying he's all of a sudden some bad head coach, but I do think there's a little bit of the case, hey, we've been to back-to-back Super Bowls. We know what works. We don't need to change. Mm-hmm. I think teams around the NFL have changed, and the Chiefs are still trying to do the same stuff. When teams are running this shell, this cover two, whatever you want to do, where's the crossing routes? Mm-hmm. Where's the short over the middle? Where are the slants that made Michael Thomas a king in New Orleans? Where's Clyde Edwards-Helaire with this amazing offensive line? You see the numbers. You see the holes they're getting.
Yep.
And you know me, I'm not team run the football.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's there, you got to take it.
Feel free.
And I do think some of it does have to do with Patrick Mahomes. I think he might have, quote-unquote, the yips. I've talked about it. I think it's a similar situation to Chuck Knobloch when he couldn't throw the ball from second base to first.
It hasn't gotten that
Not
bad.
Not that bad, but John Lester, when he couldn't do a pickoff move. But I think there's something there because I've seen way more spiked balls than I've seen from him in the past.
Yeah.
And I get it. You might lose a little confidence when Tyreek Hill's having 4 balls go through his hands into the D-back's arms. Travis Kelce's having issues. Byron Pringle. It's like you can't trust anyone. So I understand that the concept of Patrick saying, well, man, if I'm not completely perfect, I got to spike the ball. Because if I even touches their hands, it's getting picked off.
Right.
So I think that's an issue. And I don't think it's something that's like you can't change or it's something that it can't get figured out. But I don't think it's all of a sudden going to be 1 week. There was one thing I wanted to say was when they ended up, was it kneeling the ball, the end of the half? Was
not
that,
kneeling, but running the clock.
Run the clock.
Handing it off. And then
was that last game or the game before?
That was against the Broncos.
Against the Broncos.
Yeah. They had 69 seconds remaining and 2 timeouts.
Nice. The reason why I wasn't necessarily frustrated in the sense that it's the wrong decision because I understand the fact of the Chiefs were dominating. Broncos were not going to move the football. Why do anything that could potentially lead to Broncos getting 3 or 7? I get it in that sort of vacuum. But what I think Mahomes needed in that situation was to be loose. Same thing in a basketball game when guys, shot clock's winding down. You may be struggling all game. Shot clock all of a sudden hits one, and you got to force it up. What do? He makes some crazy turnaround, gets him going. Mahomes, back against the wall, 2 touchdowns, needs to march down the field. That, to me, lets him be loose, and that could have been the drive that breaks him out of this slump. Same thing last play against Green Bay when they did that first down. What happened? I think
he did a Patrick Mahomes thing.
It slowly broke him out of this shell of where he feels controlled. I think the same thing could have happened, but we'll never know.
The other element of that is that it really made me it might have bothered me more than it bothered you on the front end here. It made me feel like Andy Reid didn't trust his own offense to just simply be trusted with the football. If your goal is just to run out the clock and not even try to score there, at the very least, why hand it off to Darrell Williams twice and then let Patrick Mahomes throw it on 3rd and 8?
Sure.
At that point, I mean, I guess run it again if that's your only goal is to keep running out the clock. At least take that last time out from Denver there. But at that point, you have made a decision that says, I think my team is quarterbacked by Teddy Bridgewater after Teddy Bridgewater's team just went on that 20-play drive. I mean, you're right. They were dominating in terms of the score and not letting the Broncos actually have anything pay off there. But they just got run over for 88 yards over the course of 20 plays, and they were up by 7. They were up by 7. Look, if it was 24-3 right then, hand it off to Darrell 3 times, get your bags, get in there for halftime, come back out and close this bleep out, and then move it along. That's fine. It wasn't, though. Well, they were getting the ball back next. Maybe Andy Reid thought, let's just put all of our eggs in that basket. Well, that basket got dropped by Tyreek Hill and handed to the Broncos. That could have been a terrible turning point in this game for me then ultimately, because not many of those points, not all of those points, I guess, most of the points, but not all of those points were scored by the offense. You got Dan Sorensen's pick 6. This was a 16-point offensive effort against the freaking Broncos. That makes me feel like the Giants and the Packers games did. Great to keep yourself alive, get the win, keep moving, buy yourself some more time to get everything right in a little bit. But it doesn't make me feel good. I didn't feel good doing the post-game show that night.
I guess really quickly, Patriots won ugly games for 15 years.
Yes.
So now that the Chiefs are winning, this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not every season, not every game is going to be beautiful. It's not going to be a masterpiece.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people on Twitter especially are like, well, the Chiefs should win 41-0 every single game.
They did score 27 points every game for I
get it.
A year and a half or something crazy.
So now when they're not, and they're being average, everyone's acting like, well, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in sports, and they forget that,
23 points, sorry.
Tyler Thigpen was the thing.
Yeah.
2, I think Andy Reid at the situation might have been scared of another drop pass interception.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have played a role. I truly believe that. So
25 consecutive games scoring 23 points or more.
That's insane. In 3,
we got spoiled.
In 3, I know I kind of made a dig at Dan Sorensen earlier. I want to say he has a role in this team.
Yes.
He's getting paid like the veterans minimum, basically. It's like $2 million. You're not funding a player of that caliber for $2 million. He was never supposed to play 100% of the snaps. The fact that Spags is now using him in the right role has obviously unlocked something in him to be himself. And we're seeing Ben Niemann in the correct role be good. Give Spags credit. Give these players credit. They have to be put in the right position. You put me out there, I'm not going to succeed.
Yep.
Yell at me all you want, but I'm not going to be successful.
Not going to get fast.
Put Dan one-on-one against a tight end. He's not going to succeed. But now that Spags has used him in the right situation, he's done better. The defense looks better as a whole. As much as they want to complain about Nick Bolton getting drastically cut back on snaps, it's tough to complain when the defense is performing like they are right now.
They don't trust him in coverage right now. I think that's relatively earned.
He has improved a little bit in coverage. I want to say that from week 1.
Absolutely. I asked him about that a few weeks ago at a presser of hey, where do you feel like you're at from week 1 to now? He said, I'm definitely in a better place, and I also still have a long ways to go. And he's right on both of those counts. The thing for him is going to be, can he do that next year, really? Because, again, we're talking about guys playing in roles. It warms my cold little heart to hear you say that about Niemann and Sorensen, because I just don't feel like I've heard a lot of other people zero in on that, and I literally could not agree more. You put Dan Sorensen and Ben Niemann in positions where they are able to do the things that they are best at, and good things happen? Are you sure? Are you sure that good things happen whenever you don't ask Dan Sorensen to play like Ed Reed? This is all better. But you think that they win against the Raiders on Sunday, it sounds like?
It's called nuance, Brisco.
A little nuance, everybody. Join me and Sterling on on the SS Nuance.
And we only play Yacht Rock.
We play Yacht Rock out here.
But yeah,
we have nuanced takes about role players being. That really is the whole game here. It is how I feel about everybody from Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Nick Bolton, to Ben Neiman and Dan Sorensen, to Byron Pringle and DeMarcus Robinson. If you are playing NFL football, you're so bleeping good at football, it's mind-boggling. And also a little bit of nuance of how valuable is this player or how often should this player be in this situation is where I think largely sports media has failed the sports fan at that for the most part over the last 50 years or whatever. I think we're getting better, though. Mostly just because you and I are here.
Yeah. It's either you're the GOAT and the greatest of all time, or you are trash and deserve to never see a football field. What are you doing? You're a disgrace to your family. Like, there's zero.
A disgrace to your family. Yep, that's 100% right.
How dare you become the best at your prospective job?
Let me get you out of here on this last thing. What are the Sixers going to do with Ben Simmons? What do you want them to do? What do you hope? What do you realistically hope happens? Stu's a Sixers fan. I mean, you worked for the Sixers.
I work for them.
He was a point guard.
Let him shoot 2 free. Yeah, with Ish Smith. Isaiah Cannon. Yeah. Let him shoot 2 free throws.
Okay.
He's going to miss, and everyone gets a Frosty.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. That's the whole thing. I thought you
man.
at least would say, all right, Ben, you shoot 2 free throws. If you make both of them, we'll send you to whatever team you ask. If you make one of them, we will trade you to a deal that makes sense for us. If you miss them both, you have to you have to rip up your contract.
And for those that know, the whole joke is if you miss 2 free throws in a Sixers game,
I don't know this.
Everyone in the stadium gets a Frosty.
Okay.
And that was the whole thing with Isaiah Thomas when he missed 2 free throws and the fans were in the post-game show, the post-game, he goes, it was for a Frosty. That's the whole.
I forgot about that.
So they take missed free throws very seriously.
I'm trying to turn it into a more high-stakes situation.
Yeah,
Frosties
sure.
aren't enough.
There's talks of like C.J. McCollum.
Yeah.
I mean, that's best case scenario. I know folks are like, well, why would you get him? He can't play defense, and he's just a better version of Seth Curry. Sure, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Is that fair? Is calling C.J. McCollum a better Seth Curry fair?
At this point, I think, yeah.
It might be.
And then I know Beard is all about O.J. Anunoby and Fred VanVleet for Ben Simmons, and I like that, but I also feel like both sides are sitting there saying we want more. There's not a good case.
Picks in the NBA always bleep me up because a first-round pick from any team in an NFL draft has a lot of value.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if either the Sixers or the Raptors had to throw in an extra first? Does that move the needle? I don't know.
Not at all. Not really.
It's not a lot. It's not a high lottery pick.
The contract's horrible. Ben Simmons can't shoot free throws. He doesn't care about to me, I've always said this. He seems like a guy who's very good at basketball, and he acts like it's a job. And I get it, because not everyone's going to love what they do.
Sure.
So I'm not going to sit here and just say that, but it's very frustrating when you have so much talent, you're getting paid so much money, and you're sitting here going, well, I'm good enough. Yeah. I won, this award. I'm a all-pro, whatever they call it, all-star. It's just very frustrating when guys just seemingly have so much talent, get paid that amount of money, and then just go, all right, I'm out.
This is a remarkably strange situation.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that, some of that I think you can prescribe to some guys fairly, and sometimes I think it's probably unfair. And this is just one of the most bizarre ones. And the NBA is good for that, Kyrie Irving is not currently the non-playing NBA player getting the most conversation on this show today. That's pretty wild. That's a wild place to be. Sterling, thank you for your time here this evening. It's been wonderful. If people want more of you, they can check out Darren and Sterling, 3 o'clock weekdays over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. I call it Sterling and Darren, but I want to get the branding right, for people listening now. And the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Where else? Give your best plug. Oh, at Homestretch KC on Twitter. Give me your best plug for everything where people can find you. Anything that I missed.
Find me on Twitter at Homestretch KC. You'll see me be a dumbass. It's very funny. Like 6 people understand my humor, so maybe you could be the 7th.
You might be the 7th person to enjoy Stu's tweets.
Check out the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It's me and Matt Connor, and then we also do one with me, Matt Connor, Matt Verderame, and Patrick Allen for a post-game Chief show. That's on YouTube. Fantastic. It's a lot of fun. And then Darren and Sterling down there, ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. And now we're doing some Facebook Live stuff. Darren handles all the technological stuff. I'm basically 87 years old.
Yeah, Sterling is an 84-year-old, 27-year-old?
Correct.
Yep. And that's just who he is. And that's, and if that appeals to you, you have all those things he just mentioned. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Light up the holidays with a personalized gift from Shane Company.
A diamond.
Everything. And you should follow him on Twitter at HomestretchKC and check out Darren and Sterling. It's him and Darren Smith over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. Good grief, you'll hear, easy for me to say, Darren a little bit later actually tonight, assuming I get to all the audio that I'm going to attempt to get to. We'll see. Let's go ahead and do one of these here, Rudy. Let's go ahead and make the jump to this Melvin Ingram clip because I don't have a whole lot to unpack around this, so we can get in and out in a couple of minutes on it. But I thought it was sort of interesting, and also this clip is a little bit of a look at how the sausage is made in terms of press conferences. Sometimes his whole presser was a trip because he sometimes his answers are literally just a couple of words, and then you have to ask another follow up, and it can be kind of an interesting dynamic. And in this one, you'll hear a couple of different questions that I've left in there that are all sort of along the same lines or edited down, because whenever Steve Spagnuolo talked earlier yesterday, he mentioned that Melvin Ingram, it can sometimes he'll just move around wherever he's sitting during a meal or whatever. Sometimes he'll sit with Tershawn Wharton and Mike Dana, or he'll go sit with some other young guys or whatever. And I thought that was kind of interesting. A lot of other people did as well. So first question here is from our own Darren Smith. You'll hear my follow-up after that. I think there might be two more in there, all kind of along this same topic of what it is that has made Melvin Ingram a guy that wants to pass along his veteran wisdom and how he got to this point. So it'll all make sense on its own here, starting with Darren asking how he's influenced some of these young guys in the Chiefs defensive line room.
I don't know. I just go out and share what I've learned over the years through my experience and through my time playing. And I guess that have an impact. If it do, it do. If it don't, it don't. It's just me trying to pass down what was passed down to me on how to study film, on how to approach the game, and things like that. Nothing crazy.
Why is that important?
Whoa, slow down. Everybody don't talk at once.
Why is that important to you? Did you have somebody that was that kind of guy for you whenever you were younger?
Yeah, no, I had a bunch of vets when I came into the league that did it the right way and studied the game the right way and played the game the right way and approached it the right way. So I was blessed enough to come up under those guys.
You mentioned the impact of veterans with Josh's question. I just was wondering if you could share some of the names that.
Eric Weddle, Sean Phillips, Takeo Spikes, Jared Johnson. It's a lot to name. I grew up Dwight Freeney, so it's a lot of them. So just being behind those guys and being able to take a little piece of everything from Antonio Gates, it's Phillip Rivers. I came up with a lot of great ones.
To Darren's question, Spags mentioned that he's spending a lot of time with some of the young guys like Mike Dana and Turk Gordon. This young core guys on the other defense, what's your kind of impressions of them, and what stands out to you about them?
We really got some great ones. We really got some great ones that got a chance to be special in this league, and I feel like the more time you spend with them and the more time you show them stuff, when it comes that moment in the game when you need them, you ain't worried about it because you already know it. And from the first day I got here, I always knew they were special.
That last part was interesting just as a way to think about young players. Whenever the moment comes around, you either have faith that a guy who has not had to prove it before, you either have faith that that guy is going to take care of whatever he's got to do there, or you don't. I mean, I'm super projecting now unfairly, I think, on this front, but the times where Tyrann Mathieu would maybe have to take an extra couple of steps to try to give a backup plan because maybe the Chiefs weren't fully confident that Juan Thornhill was going to be where he needed to be. Again, I think that's unfair to Mathieu and Thornhill probably. But there was some weird stuff going on with Thornhill over the last calendar year or something now. But if you're in one of those situations, or certainly with young guys on the offensive line, I mean, I think that there is trust in Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. But if there wasn't, what do Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown and Mike Rimmers to Lucas Niang to Andrew Wiley, what do they have to do differently to accommodate for the fact that they don't know if you're ready for live bullets or not? I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. And then also a little bit of character there of who Melvin Ingram is, who he can be to the young guys, and why he is that way, who he learned from. I thought that was all kind of interesting. And interesting enough to get us through another segment of Almost Entirely Sports. We got to take another break, folks. We went way too long with Uncle Stu. We'll talk about something else whenever we come back.
Take the show with you wherever you go.
SSJ sent you.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Uh-oh, smoke just started coming out of a CPU. There's a computer on fire, I'm pretty sure.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rudy, on a imperfect night, I would say, for him on a technical basis. You haven't given up 8 earned runs in 2 innings or anything. You had a couple pitches
Some
hang.
little things here and there, yeah. Almost forgot to hit record on the computer lines. We got it.
That would have been a 5-run inning there. That would have been a rough one, depending on how far it would have taken for you to
I
notice
loaded
it.
the bases, but I worked out of it only giving up a run.
Yeah,
and
that
you're
seems
like,
right.
you know what? That was not a good inning. Sure, he walked the bases loaded. The command was all over the place, but he battled.
Speaking of which, how long is it going to take before we willingly talk about baseball? I think because, again, it's partially
I won't talk about baseball until baseball cares about baseball.
Wow.
Yeah. These players playing a game, they want money. It's a children's game.
Oh, you're turning against the players,
billionaire
actually.
owners
Okay.
who are greedy.
Who are not greedy.
Because America.
Okay.
Did they have to start a strike? Did they have to lock out the players? Of course not. But that's the American dream, dang it.
To lock out your employees because you want to make even more comically large amounts of money and not pay them.
Well, did you
or
read the
whatever.
letter? Mark Manfred. I know that's not his name.
That's not his name.
Mark Manfred.
His name is Robert. His name is Robert F. Manfred. And his middle name's F is short for, what were you going to say, Rudy?
He knows this is bad for baseball.
Yeah.
He understands.
Yeah, he doesn't care, though.
I'm on his side.
Okay.
I met him once. Have I told you about that?
No.
So yeah. So I did an internship. You know the intern this summer that we both interned. I also had an internship in Baltimore for the Cal Ripken World Series.
Like,
I slept on an air mattress for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they were not going to pay for me to stay up there. I had to find my own lodging, and it's really expensive to stay somewhere for 3 weeks.
And this is how your worldview has come together in terms of being pro-owner.
Yeah, and met Rob Manfred. Had a conversation with him. Talked to him and some other guy about basically, I forget what the technical sport is called, but it's basically like old school baseball where you had like no gloves or anything. Like it was how they play baseball in like the 1800s or whatever.
Sure.
And there's a group of people that still play it like that today, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And we were just talking, just 3 of us just kicked back and just chatting. Just cutting it up. Good times.
What was your read on Rob Manfred?
Awkward.
Like your interaction was awkward, or you think he's an awkward person?
He seems he was a little socially awkward. And I feel like I'm very knowledgeable in that because I'm socially awkward at times. I can spot another socially awkward person pretty well.
Your social awkwardness radar.
Yeah.
You're saying
pretty
is
good.
finely tuned.
Yeah, it was a short conversation. He didn't seem like a bad dude, right? I don't think he didn't seem like a person who goes around kicking puppies. But he just seemed like an awkward person who totally doesn't fully understand people. And I think that what I've seen him do professionally since then kind of backs that up.
I met Roger Goodell once, and I do think he kicks puppies.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I didn't meet Roger Goodell. That part wasn't true.
I met also at the same thing. I met I don't know if you'll remember this name, Anthony Becht, tight end
from the
Jets and the Buccaneers.
Did he go to Miami?
He might have.
Did I just rip your game? If I got this right, your game is mine now.
Oh my goodness!
This is for Rudy's game.
Oh my goodness! Because he played with Chad Pennington with the Jets. That's like how I knew of him.
West Virginia. The game is still yours.
Close.
Dang it.
You were close.
I do remember him as a Jet, though.
Yeah, because I really remember him as a Jet because of
green uniforms. Maybe
I'm gonna be honest. I lost track of the time. We're way past.
That's what I thought. I thought. I looked at the clocks and I was like, we're not gonna hit Sports Center.
Some technical difficulties. I'm gonna tell this story real fast. I knew of Anthony Becht really well because one of my favorite Madden teams was like Madden 01, 02, 03. I loved playing with Chad Pennington, Curtis Martin, and Anthony Becht, and another white wide receiver that they had whose name I can't remember. It was
2001 Jets, you think it was?
Yeah, right around the early 2000s. He was a Jet for a while. He wore number 83. His name was Wayne Chebet.
We're not gonna break until I land this on Pro Football Reference. Well, Vinny Testaverde started every game in 2001. So do you think it was the 02 roster
It might have been like
maybe,
02,
or
03,
2000?
Found it. Wayne Trebet, wide receiver. That's who it was. Yes. And Santana Moss was on that team too. So I was a big Jets guy.
Yeah, Chad Pennington got the starts in 2002. So there you go. Wow. That's not even the bump music, Rudy. Weirdly enough, this segment has been the one that really got away from him. I don't even need the break, the music. We can just throw to break. I can just say, well, let's go to break, and then you can just hit the button. It's fine. Rudy's rattled. He doesn't have any faith in his fastball right now. He can't locate his fastball right now. He is screwed.
I'm sleepy.
It's not even 9 p.m. yet.
40 seconds.
I don't need 40 seconds. I could have just thrown to break. We could have gotten this moving and gotten that much closer, 40 seconds closer to giving people Matt Verderame.
Is this not a better experience for everybody? Is everybody else... Oh, my bad. Twitch didn't hear any of this. Yeah, it's a joke. No, that was a joke.
Are we on the air?
Yes, we're on the air, I think.
I have a text from Lebo that says, hey, we're not... You guys aren't on the air right now. But honestly, that's a good thing. It's a weirdly rude thing for Lebo to say on a day off, but apparently he's listening. That's not true. That was a joke, unlike all of Rudy's other mistakes, which were very real. Matt Verderame next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, this is Terry with Zarda Barbecue. The
WHB. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
You give me the Italian urban cheese, foot long, chicken teriyaki, a little sweet onion, toast that mother, lettuce, onion, easy pickle, okay, and then some Parmesan and oregano with a bag of baked chips and some sweet tea, and I'm good to go.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It's always good to talk to Matt Verderame. It feels even better to talk to Matt on a Friday. And we get to talk to him on the back of a couple of hilarious weeknight games, Monday and Thursday. Look ahead to the action coming up this weekend. We'll ask him how he feels about the Chiefs, all sorts of stuff there. You almost certainly follow him on Twitter already, at Matt Verderame. If you don't, you can do it there. Plus, you can read his work at FanSided.com. You can check out Stacking the Box. It's a podcast. It's a column. It's a multimedia experience. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. And, of course, the Arrowhead Addict podcast. I guess I just realized that with Sterling and Verderame in the same show, I feel like Matt Connor might get a little bit defensive for not also being invited on this episode. We'll get to Matt Connor sometime later on. But, Matt, the first question I got for you is something that came up on our Wednesday show, which is, when do you think was the last time that Clark Hunt went through a drive-thru?
Has Clark Hunt ever gone through a drive-thru? I mean, you know, his family, when he was a kid, wasn't exactly, you know, looking for pennies under the couch. So I'm going to go ahead and say never.
It's a bold stance. It's a bold look. If you have oil baron money, someone else can go get your food. You know, that's never. But here's the thing: does that mean? I think it does. But does that mean that Clark Hunt has never had the illuminating experience of what I have branded as a car picnic, which is when you go through a drive-thru and then you go eat it just in your car in the parking lot like a scumbag?
A car picnic.
It's a car picnic. It makes it less sad.
A carnic.
Yeah, it's a carnic.
I don't know if that makes it less sad or more sad. But either way, you know what though? Wouldn't it be kind of unnerved, or at least like almost disappointed, if you pulled up to a Sonic and you're getting whatever the hell you're getting? Okay,
yeah.
Something that's going to clog your arteries,
yes.
And in your case, maybe send you into a diabetic coma.
Yes, correct.
And so you're getting this, and you look over, and Clark Hunt's just chilling with like the Baconator. Like I feel like there'd be a deeply, you'd be like, oh man, I hope Clark's all right.
Yes, it would be that.
You know,
it would be genuine concern.
That's cool.
No,
ooh, that's not good.
I would be absolutely. I would legitimately. And if Andy Reid was over there, I'd be like, oh, good. Andy Reid's getting a Sonic cheeseburger. That's exciting. That's good for him.
100%.
If I saw Clark Hunt next to me at a Sonic, yeah, I would. I literally might just call someone to be like, hey, Clark Hunt just needs help.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I feel 100%. Yeah, just saw Andy Reid. He's like, oh hey, it's Andy. Whereas with Clark, he'd be, that's something I probably ought to report.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see Clark Hunt as a guy who's sitting around the house or sitting around that suite at Arrowhead that's basically a house and sitting there and going, you know what, guys, I'm going to Arby's tonight.
I'm thinking
who
Arby's.
Wants this?
I guess, here's the other thing, and I wonder if this goes for all, or at least most incredibly wealthy people. I have a hard time imagining Clark Hunt just eating, I feel like he just sits in, a greenhouse and just absorbs energy through the air. Maybe he has a light spinach salad or something.
I can't imagine. And you know what? Listen, I'm in my life, I'm very, very fortunate, very, very blessed. But I can't imagine what it's like to have the amount of money where just nothing could reasonably matter from a financial standpoint.
Right.
Like for example, that's for me. This week I had to go get a crown at one of my teeth, which has been about 5 years coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh no, you got dental, and then you go in and they're like, this is what they covered, and it's like they covered 8 seconds of dental work.
Yes.
And they're like, by the way, you owe this, and it was a kind of figure that, look, it's not life-changing, but it was like, wow. I was in there for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was more than I expected to cost.
Yes.
And, you're like, all right, you want on installments? I was like, no, but yeah, I'm thinking about, like, what would have to happen for Clark Hunt to have to put something on a payment plan? Right? Like, or even to consider it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's got to just be obscene to live that way, to just be like, whatever. It's like, we're going to build a new Arrowhead. Yeah, screw it. Put it on credit.
Yes. He could have probably liquidated some funds and just paid Patrick Mahomes' entire 10-year contract in cash on the front end.
Well, in all seriousness, like from a football perspective, I don't know. This is something I learned a couple of years ago. I don't know how many people know this. And we've actually talked about this on the show. But when NFL owners, when they sign a contract, let's just, for the purposes of this discussion, big contract, $100 million plus, like, they have to, by rule, this is put in the 80s because the Eagles had an owner who basically decided to sign contracts couldn't afford. There's some issues. Look into that one.
Okay, we'll do.
But they made a rule that if you have guaranteed money in a contract, which of course every contract does now, you have to be able to put that money at the time of signing into an escrow account. And that was what amazed me about the Chiefs a couple summers ago when they signed Kelsey, Jones, and Mahomes in the span of like a week and a half. The amount of money that Clark Hunt had to just go, screw it, escrow.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you go back and look at the math, I think it was close to something like $550 million of like somewhat guaranteed money in those contracts. Like, even by NFL standards, that is obscene.
Yeah.
But there are not a lot of teams that would have been able to do that.
Yeah.
That was, and that's why, everybody says, well, it's an even playing field, the NFL, because there's a cap. That's true, but it's true to an extent. Because there are some owners, like part of the reason Khalil Mack got traded from the Raiders was Mark Davis. He's one of the poor owners in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, to put that amount of money into escrow is a big deal. For Clark Hunt, like, it just didn't matter. It was like, what the hell, we'll just do it. Whereas, other teams, that would have been tough. So Arby's probably not something I'm guessing he's rolling out. But he could also like go and get the roast beef and cheddar and love it.
Yeah.
Go, you know what? I'm buying 50 franchises.
Right. He just becomes Clark Hunt of Arby's. He just changes it to Hunt's, and it's just all right. Well, I guess this is just called Hunt's now.
Arby's Field at Arrowhead.
What? Listen, now we're talking.
The worst thing.
Now,
the worst thing.
I think I would prefer that to the current situation. I think, can you imagine? And then every single victory, Andy Reid gets dunked in horsey sauce. That would probably burn. Let's do Arby's sauce. I would not want to get horseradish in my nose or anything.
Yeah, you don't want that.
But Arby's sauce, I do actually want that.
Yeah, or like every time he's wearing a 50-yard touchdown, you get a free, you get a free thing, onion rings or whatever the hell it is.
Curly fries. They sell the Arby's vodka in the concession stands. I think we're on to something here.
You just take pulls of it. Yeah, what the hell? I mean, why not? Why not make it an experience?
I think why not do that? I feel like this would bring this world together. Holy smoke! I think we've come up with something.
Clark, if you're out there and you're listening, I want royalties.
Bipartisanship is back.
It is, because we can all unite over Arby's Field at Arrowhead Stadium with all of these required.
College is now free.
College is
Healthcare is free. There's no hunger.
Everything is fixed because whenever you come into Arby's Field at Arrowhead Stadium, you can do it via an Arby's sauce slip and slide. I feel like this is all very good. One other thing that came up earlier in the week, Matt, and reminded of this with your random encyclopedic knowledge of football things. Rudy said he was listening to, I think, Stack in the Box, or it was Stack in the Box for the Arrowhead Addict Pod. I don't remember.
It was. So I saw it on Twitter.
Why don't you ask the question?
Yeah,
you actually listened to it.
So I saw it on Twitter, and it was a clip of you and Mark Cartman talking. You quote tweeted it, and it was, I'm now trying to remember what the opening question was. I forget, but basically
something Mac Jones adjacent,
that was the
right?
second question.
Oh,
the opening question was just something that Matt knew the answer to. Then the second was, do you remember the last time the Patriots won a game throwing the ball less than 3 times? And the way you just rattled off all the information, I had to bring it to Josh's attention.
Yeah,
and it was almost we were concerned a little bit.
Well, you're right to be concerned. Well, really, look. So I knew where you were going with this. So yeah, I was talking about 1982, the Pats up in old at the time it was called Foxborough Stadium. It was called like Schaefer Stadium, but they were playing it there, and they're playing in a late season game against the Dolphins. And like you get in Boston, ton of snow, horrible weather, 0-0. It was a critical game late in the year, and then the Pats sent out a field goal team, and there's a blanket of snow on the field. Well, the coach at the time, Ron Meyer, the Pats, waved on this guy on like a John Deere tractor that was essentially turned into like had a big brush in the front of it, and the guy cut a path out to kick this field goal. Well, Don Shula went berserk because the guy keeps plowing off the sideline, literally. It cuts his path. Well, the Pats kick the field goal. They win the game 3-0. They go to the playoffs. It's a famous game. We actually wrote about it on FanSided. We had Clark Judge, the Hall of Fame, go to write it up for us in July as part of our series looking back at the 80s. It's a famous game, but I knew of it because as a kid, and I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old, I used to religiously rent these tapes from the library in town. There were all these NFL film things. And so all the other nerds were watching Barney and Sesame Street. I was learning about the snowplow game. Yeah. And NFL Films mentioned this guy's name. It was John, I think John Henderson, Mark Henderson. And he was a prison convict on work release who cleared the field.
Unbelievable.
And they actually, I didn't say this, later on, like 10 years later, the Pats went to celebrate this guy in his game, and they went looking for him, and they came to find out he was dead, and then it was later brought to their attention, nope, he's still alive, different Mark Henderson who's dead. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that game. That game, very infamous. But yeah, I was just a huge nerd and still am, and I've watched every NFL Films video 100 times, and that happened to be one of the subjects they covered.
The Wikipedia article has 2 stories with the headlines as main references here. One of them, snowplow driver won Patriots fans' hearts. The other, brush with immortality, which, holy bleep, brush with immortality is such a headline for this. Tractor driver cleared his way into history. I mean, just fabulous. This is from 2010.
Like, think about, that's almost 40 years ago. Think about if that happened today. Can you imagine the response? Like, you're fighting for the playoffs, whatever. Like, the Chiefs, let's say it's that game the day after Christmas, Chiefs-Steelers. It's a huge game. Chiefs are fighting for the division. And it's a deadlock game. Nobody can score. And the Chiefs send out some guy on a John Deere tractor who's from prison to clear the field, and Tomlin's just going berserk. And everybody's like, I don't know if it's legal. Like, there's no rules for this. And Butker kicks the field goal, and the Chiefs win the Steelers. Like, and the funny thing was, a month later, those two teams play each other in the playoffs in Miami. And if you go watch the film of that game, there are all these fans who have hard hats on with, like, snow plows on them and everything else. It was a whole thing. The Dolphins killed them. But it was, I mean, I can't, like, some of the stuff that happened back then just could never happen today.
No.
Never. Like, I can't even imagine what the response would be. But, yeah, it was a different time.
There was something a couple weeks ago, I think it was on Red Zone, I just was watching. In some game, somebody went off in the sidelines and the chain broke, and they'd be like, we have to pause the game so we can fix the chain. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh, was that on Monday?
They signaled, no, it was a couple weeks ago. It was against Indianapolis.
Okay.
They signaled first down and then realized, like, no, it might not be a first down, but they had already moved the chains. So they walked them back, and Gene Steratore actually on CBS did a great job explaining it. I guess they account that could happen, so there's some orange clip that's on the chain. I mean, I can't explain what he did, but I was watching the game live when it happened. They went through the whole thing, and it turns out like he did have the first down. McDermott was just going ballistic. The NFL it's still nothing in my lifetime holds justice to the index card.
Yes, that's what
years ago.
Yes, this is my favorite.
What the hell? Pull out an index card. You got that index card, that flash card from Johnny's math class. Just jam it in there. Yeah, got it.
They were measuring for the first down at the sticks. The ball was right there, and I think they folded it in half and then checked it. And that, to me, that's the craziest part, because how do you decide that one width of a note card, that right there, that might not be enough to actually, but if it touches the note card and the stick, but it's folded in half but not terribly well sealed together, that's a first down. There's no way that's in a rule book. That's impossible.
No, and the best part was it was Raiders-Cowboys that night, and it was in Oakland, and it was just, fans just going. And the NFL, man, for all the money, and I know people are like, there's got to put a laser in the ball. The hell with it. Give me the change. You know what? It's like with last Monday night, the Bills and Pats were playing. Everybody's freaking out.
Yes.
About the weather. Shut up. I went to school down the road from Buffalo. I went to college down the road from, there were days where we literally would walk backwards because my school, when I say it was on the lake, I mean it was on Lake Ontario. I could have taken, if I jogged from the front of my dormitory to the beach, it would have taken me 30 seconds. So, in the spring, the summer, you do the math, it was wonderful. Okay. In the winter, holy hell. You froze to death. I saw multiple people get their nose broken by doors because they'd be pulling on the doors because they were sealed by the wind. Yanking. And then the wind would stop, and they'd slam these metal doors open and crack themselves right in the face. So at least 2 or 3 times in the years I went to school there. Okay? And anybody who went to school in Oswego for 4 years has at least 2, 3, 4, 5 of those stories.
Wow.
But there were times where you'd be walking down the hill on campus, going back toward the dormitories, which would be back toward the lake, and the wind would blow so hard and so consistently that you could, if you were walking into it, you couldn't breathe because it was like a suction. It was like putting a bag over your face. So you would see people just walking backwards because it was the only way you could breathe. And you know what, damn it? I want a football game played in it.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Everybody shot so soft. Put a dome on it. The hell with it. Let it play in the wind. I want to see it. And we saw it, and it was wonderful. Unless you were a Bills fan, then it was terrible.
God, it's just perfect, Matt. I just feel like everyone listening knows exactly who you are. You have the most consistent brand in sports, and I adore it.
Not good. Not good.
It's great, man. It's fantastic. Let me ask you about a team that's not the Bills or the Patriots or the 80s Eagles or teams that are actually playing now. Because I genuinely, out of a genuine curiosity, want to know who you think is actually good in the AFC or how you do any of that parsing right now. Because I really don't know. I really genuinely don't.
All right, so let's put it this way. Everybody talks about how the whole league is so open, and that is true if you're looking at it from a playoff standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's going to get in the playoffs, what are the seeds going to be? Then yes, it is wide open, no doubt. It's not wide open to win the Super Bowl. But there's like 4 or 5 teams can actually win the Super Bowl. In my opinion, on the other side, the NFC, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and you know what? Arizona deserves to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, those teams. The Rams aren't winning the Super Bowl. They're not winning. Dallas is not winning. I'm sorry. Mike McCarthy won it with Rodgers. That lightning's not striking twice. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the AFC, I think the only team that could come out of the AFC and win the Super Bowl is Kansas City. New England could maybe get there. I have been slow to come around on them because of the same reason we saw Monday night where Belichick and McDaniels are like, hey, Mac, why don't you just hand off?
Yeah.
Like, terrified to let him throw the ball once.
Absolutely.
So I can't, I'm sorry. Mac Jones is not beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. That's not happening. But, I think you have to respect him because I will say this for New England. New England is not more talented than the Chiefs, the Chargers, Bills. You can make an argument, maybe even the Titans. Well, I think I'd probably give it to them all the time. The difference with New England, they're the best coached team maybe in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
And they're never going to beat themselves. If you beat them, you because you beat them. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're a Chiefs fan, the concern you have playing them is everything the Chiefs do all the time is going to bite them in the rear end if they play them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They do it. Like, if the Chiefs have one of these games, if the Chiefs see New England in the playoffs and the Chiefs play well, they'll beat them.
Yeah.
They'll beat them. They'll move on. But if they have a game, they drop 5 passes, they take 10 penalties, they turn the ball over 2 times, they're going home.
Mm.
They're going home. New England will beat them. New England will absolutely beat them. I think the Chiefs and the Pats are 2 best teams in the conference. But I will say, do not sleep on the Bills. People are way too like, oh, that's it then. They lost in a hurricane. Look, stop. Like, even if they lose to Tampa this week, that team could very well run the table. 3 of the last 4 games are the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Jets all at home.
Mm.
Okay? That team is really talented. I would not be throwing them out of any conference. The Ravens are done. They're just too beat up. The Bills, I have a lot of respect for.
I think that's interesting, especially on the Patriots-Chiefs things, because, look, I maybe Mac Jones is going to get to a point. It's incredibly early in his career, obviously. Like, we're measuring it by games, not seasons still.
Right.
So maybe he comes around. Maybe he becomes a perfect puppet for Belichick and McDaniels, whatever. But right now, I have a terribly difficult time seeing Mac Jones beat Patrick Mahomes. But to your point, and obviously it's always more than just the quarterbacks, but specifically to your point, the Chiefs have to lose games this year, all the Chiefs have needed is a competent opponent who will pick up the ball whenever they put it on the ground, or who will catch the ball whenever they basically throw it or hand it to them. And so, the Patriots are exactly that team.
Well, they are. But see, to me, and you're right, like, Josh, I agree. There's no way. If the Chiefs play heads up with them and they don't turn the ball over, Mac Jones is not beating the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. Because, by the way, the argument has, in what is maybe the most bizarre heel turn of all time in the NFL, and I say that with a lot of exaggeration, but it's not Mac Jones against Mahomes. It's Mac Jones against what has legitimately been the best defense in football over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
After watching them the first month of the year, where I think like you, me, and Rudy could have gotten some time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that. Well, I do. I'll tell you, a lot of things have happened, but like that's the thing I look at and go: if the Chiefs don't put the defense in a bad spot against New England, how many points is New England scoring? 10?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They're not scoring.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to score. The Chiefs would play man coverage on them, and when you know it's Spagnuolo, they would blitz the hell out of Mac Jones that game.
Yes.
They would just, here it comes. Think about how good Josh Allen is. And in the AFC Championship game, Spagnuolo was just like, that's nice. Here comes 6. Like, beat me. I don't care. Like, they had all those receivers, that quarterback. And Spag just went after him the entire game. Like, the Chiefs against New England would single up Bourne and Aguilar and those tight ends and just go, that's cute.
Yep.
We're bringing it.
Here
everybody.
Yep.
And you're going to have to beat us with 6 guys and 5 guys. And by the way, you're a rookie, and if you make one big mistake, this game's over.
Yeah.
Like, my concern from a Chiefs perspective is the Chiefs offensively would go, that's fine. We're going to drop a half dozen passes and fumble the ball twice and throw a pick and take 12 penalties. And to me, that's the whole question in the AFC. It really is, even beyond the Chiefs. Like, regardless of Kansas City's stance, and by the way, I think if they win these next 2 games, I think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the conference.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm a complete nerd when it comes to playoff fixture stuff.
Yeah.
If they win these next 2 games, they're going to get the bye. But even if they don't, even if they go on the road or something, if the Chiefs don't turn the ball over and they don't get hurt, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're just better than all these other teams at this point because how well the defense is playing. But there's a huge if with them because they can't stop doing it. They turn the ball over and they do all this stuff. It just leaves these teams in games, and it's getting a little overlooked and a little bit like, butted right now because they keep winning. But at some point, like, that's coming home to roost. It is. They're going to play a game against a good team, and all of a sudden you're going to go, well, of course they lost that way.
Right.
Because they did it all year long, and it finally bit them in the rear end.
What's your best theory on why we are where we are right now looking at that offense?
You know what? I don't know that there's like some grand answer to it. I just think it's a lot of things. I mean, you're having a year where they're just dropping passes. I don't think there's any real reason other than just bad luck, a little bit of losing focus. Look, every time we do the Arrowhead Act podcast, and I love everybody who listens to the show, we get a lot of Mahomes isn't good. What's wrong with it? Look, Mahomes was fine against Denver. They dropped 6 passes. I mean, it's not Mahomes' fault they hit Tyreek Hill in the hands and the ball gets picked off. There's nothing. Now, Mahomes has not been the player he was the first couple of years, but again, I maybe this is just me. He's the least of my concerns with them. It's just they get into a playoff game and that guy's got to drive them 80 yards in 2 minutes. He's doing it. I don't care. I'm more concerned with the fact I don't like the way they've called plays this year. I think that's hurt them. I think the coaches have been slow to adjust to who they are. They're not this offense anymore that's just going to score 35 every time they go out there. It's not that they can't. We saw it early in the year. But you should be playing differently now. This team's defense is just kicking people's teeth in. You have this offensive line, especially on the interior, that mauls people. Play to that.
Yeah.
Run the ball. Have some play action off of it. Let your defense win some of this. I think the Chiefs don't want to play how they did when it's we can just score 35 points again. Okay, fine, but it's not about that. I think they're pressing it and they're trying to force it a little bit. It's it's okay. You don't have to go nuts every game. You can play it a little bit differently because, and by the way, this is the same way they won the Super Bowl. They played great defense the last 2 months of the year, including the playoffs. And that's what won it for them. They didn't win the Super Bowl in the end because of how great their offense. They won it because their defense was just lights out down the stretch. And if they win it again this year, it's going to be because of that again. And that's fine. Go find a year where a great quarterback won a Super Bowl and his defense is stunk. You will never find it. It does not exist. It's never happened.
We'll get you out of here on this then, Matt. You sound like you are generally a believer in this defense being for real. I think in part you can look back to saying, hey, this has happened before. This isn't totally out of nowhere. But as you mentioned earlier, it was apocalyptic early in the year. So this transformation as a whole, what are your favorite parts of it that you think also makes this a legitimate evolution, not just a fluky stretch of games?
Well, it's an evolution because it was almost a revolution. It switched out a million different guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a whole segment on that. But, I mean, Willie Gay came back. Willie Gay has transformed the second level of their defense. They're so much faster. They can cover. It changes everything about what they can do. Thornhill, everybody wanted him to come in. Well, you're seeing why. He's played really well.
Yep.
Their corners, I don't care how big of a Chiefs fan you are, Chiefs home, nobody thought Ward and Fenton would be dueling for the top spot on Next Gen Stats and on PFF, who's the best corner in football. But they played that way. Snead has been excellent. And then, of course, the obvious. You kick Jones inside, you get Ingram, Clark gets healthy, now you got Jones inside, so now Jerron Reed is all of a sudden starting. I mean, it's a domino effect. And you also give credit to the coordinator who's figured out how to kind of move all these pieces and use them in concert. I'm not worried at all that it's a flash in the pan. That concern went out the window when they just kicked Dallas all over the field for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't care who you're playing. My job's to cover the whole league. I watch every game every week. Although at this point I would be remiss if I didn't say I don't watch the Jets every week. But you watch. I mean, there are teams last night, for an example. Minnesota is up 29-0 on Pittsburgh and just can't stop them. At the end of the game. That's not happening with Kansas City.
Yeah.
They don't that game against Denver on Sunday night. You watch that game. Denver goes, to their credit, 20-play drive. They 85 yards or whatever it was. When they didn't score on that drive, I was like, this game's over. It's done. That's the best drive they're going to have all night. They're not going to drive in here again until it was garbage time. They just score them a point. So I really think the Chiefs have to lean into we've got a great offensive line and a powerful one. We've got a really good defense. That's how we should be playing. And, oh, by the way, if we need them, we got 15 back there. And if we have to get to a game like that, we're more than capable of doing it. But I really think if they would run the ball and stick to it, you'd start drawing some safety help up. You'd be able to open. They're going to smoke the Raiders Sunday because the Raiders are going to play single high, and they're just going to keep still doing it. But these teams that play too high, the Chiefs have to run the ball and draw these teams up. And Andy Reid has not shown the patience. The second they do that, it'll change. But they have not shown a willingness, and I think it's the biggest problem they have right now is the team. It's killing them offensively.
Matt, I appreciate you as always. Grab some Arby's, enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Oh, I plan to. Vodka and roast beef.
Just in the same cup. It's Matt Verderame from FanSided. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. Again, Stacking the Box, the Arrowhead Addict podcast, and his work, all of his written work there. Follow him on Twitter is the best way to find it. And unfortunately, I can't direct you to a place to buy the Arby's vodka because it's sold out in like 5 minutes.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. to Almost Entirely Sports.
We talk about cocaine on this show a lot.
Almost entirely cocaine.
Oh, man, I wish.
With Joshua Brisco.
No, man, listen, you know how I know that I can't have a cocaine habit? I don't have cocaine money.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Matt Verderame of FanSided for joining us. Always a pleasure to get to talk to him about just literally anything. At some point, I mean, it's great when it's football, but when it's not, it's also wonderful. Here's something that I want you to hear from yesterday's press conferences, and I have some thoughts about it. And this is going to be one of those weird times where I take an even larger portion of this show to be self-involved and talk about press conferences, and to also do a little chest tap, put my hand up on this one. This one's on me. This is my bad. We're going to go run the whole gamut here, but I want you to hear the audio first, and then I will explain what else was going on around that. But Herbie Teope of the Kansas City Star gets the actual question credit here. I was going to say credit for the question. Sufwin Succotaff.
Credit, please.
Little credit for the question. You'd think that by now. I mean, I was going to say that you'd think that my job is ostensibly professional talker, that I would be able to successfully speak. But also, I've only had 2 times that I've failed to make proper word sounds in almost 3 hours of radio today, so
not great.
It's not terrible. I mean, I haven't had 7 or 8 technical mistakes in one show or anything.
I think it was only 4 or 5.
It's 2 for me.
A little bit.
So, I mean, scoreboard on this one.
My job's clearly the harder job here. I mean, I've got all these distractions going on.
Like me.
Basically.
But listen to this clip here from Eric Bieniemy. Herbie Teope asked him about Mecole Hardman's continually declining snap count, culminating with single-digit snaps against the Broncos. Here's what Eric Bieniemy had to say about that.
You know what? I thought Mecole did a great job last week, and I know he only played 9 plays, but those 9 plays, he played fast, he played hard, and he was productive when given the opportunity to do so. So the only thing that you continue to do is to make sure that these guys understand that every play is by far the most important play. Everything that we do, whether we're meeting and everything that we do in that practice field is by far the most important thing that you would do. So we just need to make sure that all of our guys are on the same page and everybody's working to get better. But the kid is doing a great job of just not taking the little things for granted, and I appreciate what he's doing.
That's like the 3rd or 4th time at least, 4th or 5th time at least, that I've listened to that clip. And at the end, actually, something jumped out to me that hadn't previously, which is talking about everything at practice. Maybe he's lightly inferring that Hardman hasn't been good in practice, and that's cost him playing time. Or he's saying that he has been good in practice, and therefore there's nowhere to point a finger. I legitimately can't tell. Also, I'm going to, with you having heard that, now I'm going to go ahead and do the chest tap, hand in the air here. Because I'm going to ask a question, a rhetorical sort of question here on the radio that I, to be fair, did not ask to Eric Bieniemy. I was in the room, and I heard this at the time, and I had the follow-up question locked and loaded. Somebody else, I do not remember what it was, but somebody else hopped in and changed the topic, and then I just didn't box out. We're in the film room right now doing a little press conference breakdown. I should have imposed my will right there. I had the ball on the ground in front of me. I should have bent down, picked it up, gone up, dunked it. I should have, and I just didn't. I kicked it back out for some reason, and I Ben
Simmonsed it.
I Ben Simmonsed it. I let Matt Derrick take the next shot instead of shaking him off and saying, "Hey, I got this one."
I have a wide open dunk. I'm gonna pass it out for a 3.
And all I can do is say that I'm gonna try to be better. It starts with me. Try to learn from my mistakes. Try not to make the same mistake twice. If I got a chance to ask Eric Bieniemy about this again later in the season, I'm gonna be able to do it then better than I was yesterday. came up short. All we can do is go back to the film and try to be better.
And it's actually not my fault. I blame the situation that I've been put in. Please send me somewhere else.
No, that's not.
I mean, that's the Ben Simmons.
The Ben Simmons, though. Yeah, all right, got it. Sorry. Took me a second.
I need to go to a
doing a
culture
thing, but
I need to go to a place where I have the freedom to grow and learn and make mistakes.
Unlike here in Philadelphia.
Here in Philadelphia, I always have to do too much too soon. So I went out.
If Damian Lillard every time before I was about to ask a question, waved everybody else off, it was like, hey, Josh has a question, I think I'd probably be better at it.
Probably.
If everyone was so focused on Damian Lillard's question, I might be able to just sneak in front of him.
No, he's not going to be there for long because I hear Damian likes Denver a lot. It's a beautiful place.
Anyway.
I think I would now trade Michael Porter Jr. for any of those guys.
Yeah, you should. Because Ben Simmons is coming up.
Remember when I had that take?
Ben Simmons is coming. Do you remember when I had that take?
At one time I was, 3 months ago I would, 2 months ago I would not trade Michael Porter Jr. for Ben Simmons. And now I'm just like, please?
Ben Simmons has some issues, but as far as I know, all of his vertebrae are where they're supposed to be.
He can physically play basketball.
Right. At what level? TBD. But he can physically play the sport of basketball. That joke of Rudy's own expense is going to knock him out for the rest of the show because he's going to have a hard time putting away max contract Michael Porter Jr. and his incredibly persistent back issues. So anyway, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. In fact, Rudy, I'd like for you to play just sort of the beginning of that clip again. I'll wave you off whenever I'm done with it. But I want to get the particular part that I think is most interesting from the front end and also acknowledge that I should have asked this upcoming question to Eric Bieniemy instead of asking it to Rudy and to you, the listener. But just trying to be honest, go ahead and start the beginning of that again.
You know what? I thought McCole did a great job last week, and I know he only played 9 plays, but those 9 plays, he played fast, he played hard, and he was productive when given the opportunity to do so.
I should have asked this to Bieniemy. I feel like I'm asking a question behind his back. I don't love that. So again, on me. Here's my question. If McCole Hardman did everything you asked him to do and played very well, and you are very happy with his performance over the course of those 9 snaps, what would it take to get him 10? Or 20? Or 50? Because there's only 2 options here. It's either he didn't actually play that well, or as he got on to say later in the question, maybe he hasn't practiced that well, or maybe either what Eric Bieniemy said at the beginning is untrue and it did not go that well, or the coaching staff has been foolhardy in their inability to get him on the field. Now, I think that the truth is that the door is not fully locked and shut and deadbolted, but it is really not open on McCole Hardman blossoming into a true all-encompassing wide receiver. And I think Eric Bieniemy also is not going to go throw a very young football player under the bus after what it has to be his least used game of his career, at least, barring an injury issue or something. This is a huge blow right now for Hardman's sort of spot on this team, unless they're saving him for January or something. But what I wish I would have asked, and we'll try to ask again soon if this happens again, is, hey, you've said that McCole Hardman's done everything you've asked him to do, but it still hasn't really resulted in a larger usage in the offense. What does he still need to do to get that work back? And right now, I think that the honest answer would be a lot better at almost everything, or at least be trustworthy in almost everything. And right now, it doesn't appear that he is in that offense, which bums me out because he is clearly the second most talented wide receiver in that group. Maybe Josh Gordon, depending on where his body is at this point in his life. But it's not even close beyond that. And still, his usage has continued to decline over several weeks. And it bums me out. And it's also bad for the offense. So I hope that a turnaround does show up. I just don't know why the Chiefs would believe that turnaround will come when they're also not successfully getting him on the field right now. serious sports throw to break.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
This show is an oddball, and I love that about it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We're going to end tonight's show just with me telling you what I just watched on Twitter. I'm going to retweet it shortly at JB Brisco. At the break of Suns Celtics, which is on ESPN right now, if you want to watch the Suns without Devin Booker or DeAndre Ayton, still keep it even with Beards' Celtics. So you've got the gorilla, the famous gorilla. He's in a full Santa costume, okay? Then you have a little inflatable gorilla that honestly moves in a way that physics would have to challenge. It seems like an optical illusion, and it's fascinating, and I love it. And then the Grinch shows up. The Grinch runs off the baseline with a pair of giant scissors, runs at this inflatable gorilla, and appears to pop it to death with these giant scissors. The gorilla collapses and begins deflating. The other gorilla comes over, pumps it back up with the bike pump, and then they chase down the Grinch because it wasn't actually popped. They chase down the Grinch. The gorilla, famous one, grabs the Grinch and drags him to the ground. The inflatable one comes over, full body slams the Grinch, who is, as far as I can tell, dead at this point. And then security comes over and drags the Grinch, unconscious, his limp body, back down to the baseline, and Christmas has been saved in Phoenix. You should watch it. It's a Christmas acid trip. Sports Saturday tomorrow, Chiefs postgame Sunday. We'll talk to you then. Bye, Mom!
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, guys, this is Stephen St. John. This Christmas, give her the next best thing to her